delivery driver Heidi Eckert and her estranged husband, phlebotomist Salvatore Procopio, are suing their former housemate, construction worker Michael Marcus, for unpaid rent, unauthorized use of an ATM card, and an assault.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 155 on the calendar in the matter of Eckert Procopio versus Marcus. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
You are Miss Eckert?
Yes.
Miss Eckert, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for some rent, some other bills from taking money out of your ATM account, and Mr. Procopio?
That's correct.
It's your claim that Mr. Marcus assaulted you. You want to be compensated. Tell me, how do you know him, Miss Eckert, and when you moved in together, and what was the rent arrangement?
I met him last July, and we just became friends, and he had a 5-year-old son, and I had a 6-year-old son, and he was living in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I was living in a 3-bedroom house, and we both couldn't afford the places that we lived in, so we decided we move in together, just as roommates, and he can take care of my son while I go to work, just take him to school in the morning, and then the rent would be $300, and if he doesn't do that, then the rent would be $400.
How much was the total rent?
$850.
And how many people were living in the house?
It was just me and my son at the time.
When did he move in?
In the middle of September.
No, that's not true.
I'll get you in a minute. When was he supposed to start to pay rent? In October?
Yeah.
Did he pay October's rent?
No.
When did he move out?
Middle of May.
That's not true either.
From October until May, did he pay rent?
No.
Never?
No.
So why did you let him stay?
Because he always said he's getting a job. Every month I asked him, are you going to come up with some money? He was supposed to get food stamps too, you know, from the welfare. And every month he came up with a new story. One time he said he's going to sell his motorcycle, and I didn't want him to do that. And then he had a job at one time.
Yeah.
For a day, and then he lost that job.
Not true.
Do you think I'm going to give you a chance, sir?
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Then I want you to try to contain yourself. So he didn't pay you any money from October until May?
No.
So let's deal with the rent first. Now, Mr. Marcus, look who's having a turn. When did you move in according to your calendar, sir?
It was the middle of October.
Okay.
Actually, almost towards the end of October, when I come back from Mexico.
So according to you, you should have started to pay rent.
1st of November.
Thank you for anticipating. Did you pay rent?
No, not at the first. No, I didn't.
Why not?
Well, because I didn't have the money at that time.
What were you doing in Mexico?
I was helping a friend move his family down there.
Explain that to me.
It was just another friend of mine who needed assistance driving his family to Mexico. He asked me to help him.
You're making me very nervous, sir. Could you speak without moving so much?
Well, he asked me to help him move his family to Mexico. I did so. I was down there for a month.
So you weren't working at the time?
No.
So, and you were free?
I was taking care of my son. He was under medical conditions, so...
What kind of medical conditions?
He was mauled by dogs, so he needed intensive care 24/7.
How old is he?
He is now 6. At the time, he was 5.
So you took your son, who needed full-time medical care, down to Mexico for a month?
No, I didn't. I left him with his grandmother.
The name of the friend who you helped move to Mexico?
Mario.
Mario.
Yeah, Mario. That's all I know.
Mr. Marcus, you see anything written here, sir?
No, ma'am.
Dumb, stupid.
No, I'm not saying that.
Do you think that I think that you were going down to move somebody whose name you don't even know, and you stayed with them for a month and you don't know their last name?
No, I don't. Actually, I couldn't even pronounce it if I did.
All right, Mr. Marcus. So November you didn't pay any rent. What about December?
Yes, I did give her some money. I did give her some cash.
Good. How much did you give her, sir?
I believe it was $150.
And in January?
I think it was another $100, $150.
February?
Not believe February, no.
March?
No, that's when we started getting eviction notices, so she didn't pay either. It was pretty much everybody disbanded the house, and off we went.
April?
No, nobody was there in April.
When did you move out?
March.
So according to you, sir, for the entire time you were there, you gave her a total of $250.
Well...
That's what you just told me.
Well, partial, yes.
That's what you just told me.
Yes, I understand that. Partial.
That's what you just
That's
told me.
cash, yes. I bought all the food for the house.
Food.
Yes, food. Well, she then proceeded to move Sal in.
Just, I'm not there yet. Miss Eckert,
Okay.
I want you to tell me about this ATM card. I've read your papers, and I don't think that you can prove it to me, but I'll listen to you anyway because I'm always trying to be fair.
Well, I got my paycheck and I deposited, and my bank account was way overdrawn. And I was like, there's something wrong. So I got a statement from the bank, a printout, and I noticed that there was some stuff on there that was charged on my debit card that wasn't made by me. And there was a 1-800 number next to it. So I called it, and I got to find out it was a...
She gave me the credit card.
Go.
It was a porn website.
That's not what it was.
Yes.
That's what the guy said on the phone.
That's not what it was.
Oh, okay. What makes you think it was Mr. Marcus who used your debit card?
Because the guy on the phone asked me what my email address is, and I said I don't have an email address. He asked me if I got a computer in my house,
That's not
and I
true
said
that she did.
I want you to be quiet until I look in your direction.
And he asked me if I know somebody by the name of Michael Marcus, and I said yes, that's my roommate. And he said that's the person who got the charge that on my debit.
And what was the charge?
You want to take a look at this?
Sure.
And because of that, my bank account got totally overdrawn, so I got all those overdraft charges on there too.
Just tell me how much it was.
But all combined with the overdraft charges,
No,
about
forget the
$200.
overdraft charges. Just what you allege he charged.
About $100.
Now we're ready to go to you, sir. Now I want you to tell me about this assault.
Hold on.
When did it take place?
12th of April.
You have a police report?
No, I did not call the police. I was going to pretty much let the whole issue go until my wife and him
She
were going to go
decided
to
do it,
court.
yeah.
Mr. Marcus, do you think you're helping yourself, sir?
No, ma'am. I just want the truth.
Well, then wait your turn, and I'll hear. How are you related to him?
Can I speak?
No! I asked you a question. I said, how are you related to him?
I'm a witness.
How are you related to him?
We have a child together.
My condolences.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your actions today, being a wise guy and a smart mouth,
But I'm not.
but you are.
But you haven't even heard my side of this whole assault thing.
But you're not paying attention to me.
I am
You're
paying
as
attention.
dumb and as thick as this wood.
And later today,
He calls me and said he's in jail, to bail him out of jail.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I said,
Mr.
That is
Reyes,
not
Mr.
true.
Reyes, could you wait until I look at you and ask you questions, please? Oh, look at me. Could you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy, Heidi Eckert, and her estranged husband, Salvatore Procopio, are suing former housemate Michael Marcus for unpaid rent. Salvatore claims soon after filing the case, Michael beat him up.
Now, 12th of April.
Correct. After the eviction notice came, we were supposed to be out the first of the month. Heidi,
First of what?
April, I believe.
First of April.
Yeah.
Why were you being evicted?
Due to unpaid rent.
When was the last time you paid rent?
I never paid any rent.
Yeah.
When was the last time you paid rent?
My last in February.
In February.
As far as the credit card is concerned,
Let's talk about the credit card.
oh, well, it was handed to me. She
You
knew
got-
all about
I'm
it.
not talking about the credit card now.
Well, we need to address it.
I don't. If I need to address it, I'll address it. Now, get back to the date of the assault.
Mr. Marcus came into the kitchen first thing in the morning and was upset about the whole lawsuit. Heidi had already, processed a claim to sue him in small claims. He was adamant that I was the one that put her up to it. And
When did you move into the house, sir?
middle of November. I
November.
mean, probably within the first 30 days of Mr. Marcus moving in.
So you moved in after Mr. Marcus moved
Well, I lived there prior. I moved out.
You
moved
moved
back
in after Mr.
Yes.
Marcus moved in?
Yes.
After her arrangement with Mr. Marcus?
Correct.
Did you pay rent?
No.
Why not?
I was unemployed at the time.
That's not his problem.
Yeah, I stayed in the room with my estranged wife. I slept on a couch sometimes.
At any time, did either you or Miss Eckert receive public assistance?
No.
Not me.
What about you?
No.
So how are you supporting yourself, Mr. Procopio?
Me and everybody else was supporting him.
With the help of friends.
Was I looking at you?
Well, it's,
Was I looking at you?
That's who was supporting him. Everybody else in the house.
You know, right now he's preparing to tell me about the fact that you punched him. while sitting in the kitchen.
No,
A fact
he was standing.
that you acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Your defense to that, sir, is that you were afraid that he was going to assault you with a knife he was holding.
Yes.
Your actions today in dealing with me suggest that you're so dumb that you don't recognize that if you maintain a different kind of demeanor, I might believe the fact that you were in fear of your life and therefore responded by assaulting him, by punching him.
Well, if you hear my story, I'll tell you.
However, your actions today, being a wise guy and a smart mouth,
But I'm not.
but you are.
But you haven't even heard my side of this whole assault thing.
But you're not paying attention to me.
I am
You're
paying
as
attention.
dumb and as thick as this wood.
well.
Because if you listen to me, you would understand that if you were quiet and respectful of where you are,
Then I get
and
shut out.
understand where you are, you see how we're addressing each other and you see how quiet they are? Because at this point, I'm looking in your direction. You have no self-control. You can't control yourself.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy, Heidi Eckert, and her estranged husband, Salvatore Procopio, are suing former housemate Michael Marcus for unpaid rent. Salvatore claims soon after filing the case, Michael beat him up.
Tell me about the assault, sir. You were in the kitchen. He came in. He was angry because you filed the small claims case. And he did what to you?
He smacked me upside my face.
How did he do that? With an open hand or a closed hand?
It was closed hand and an open hand. There was
Okay.
two of them, in which I got out of the house
Okay.
and I left.
And
I wasn't, I wasn't.
my mouth is moving.
Excuse me.
When he hit you, did you have any injury?
I had a cut on the inside of my mouth.
Okay, so you had no serious injury.
No, none at all.
And you did not respond in kind by hitting him back
No.
because... Okay. Did you, in fact, have a knife in your hand?
I was doing the dishes. At the time, we
Okay.
weren't sitting in the kitchen. I was standing at
You
the
were
sink.
standing. And Mr. Marcus, at no time did he hit you, is that right?
No, he did not.
Stop! And you walked into the kitchen, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
The fact that Mr. Procopio was not seriously injured, or was not really injured at all, does not mean that you get a free whack. So that slap upside his head and little cut on the inside is going to cost you $500, Mr. Marcus. So far, I am eliminating these charges from here because everything that you told me, Miss Eckert, with regard to the person that you called, at your ATM card, is hearsay. However, I am persuaded that Mr. Marcus owes you for rent. So, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's fine. I mean, we always got along. I'm kind of bummed that it came to this.
He owes me money. And this time I'm not going to let it go.
He doesn't deserve a dime.
I wish everybody well. I wish it didn't all have to come to this.
I have no hard feelings against Heidi. As far as he's concerned, he's a chump.
Housewares manufacturer Paul Cochran Jr. is suing his ex-girlfriend, restaurant manager Odella Marsh, for stealing money from his bank account and for having him falsely arrested for stalking.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 264 on the calendar in the matter of Cochran versus Marsh. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Cochran, according to your complaint, you and the defendant had dated for a period of time. You became ill and were hospitalized for a period of 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
When was that, sir?
August 30th.
It is your claim, sir, that Miss Marsh, during the time you were hospitalized, took your bank card and withdrew some $1,700 from your bank card without your permission.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you started to complain to her about taking the money after you were released from the hospital, you then claimed she filed false stalking charges against you. You were arrested. You were forced to wear a bracelet, an ankle bracelet monitor, which you had to pay for.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in total, you are suing her for some $3,000 because you say that these charges were false.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So let's start with the hospitalization. What were you hospitalized for, Mr. Cochran?
My doctor said I was under a lot of stress from working a lot. I took a vacation to get away, but it didn't do no good.
So it was a psychiatric hospitalization.
It was behavioral medicine.
Were you self-admitted or did someone admit you?
They took me by ambulance
From where?
from McDonald's where the defendant works.
What happened? Did anything happen in
I
McDonald's?
felt kind of hot and felt like I was going to faint, and they said I fainted in front of the counter.
But there wasn't a scene or anything there.
No.
Now, how did you get custody of his bank card?
When Paul was admitted to the hospital, he had bills that needed to be paid. His father brought the bills to him at the hospital. He told me to come up. He needed me to take care of his finances. Paul, myself, and the psych tech had to go to security for Paul to release the bank card, the bank number, and details as to what I was supposed to do for him. Yes, Your Honor, I did withdraw the money, which I have proof of, to pay his bills. I have the bills that I paid for Mr. Cochran.
Can I see them, please?
These are the withdrawals. These are most of the bills that I could gather up. That's about like $900 and some worth. And I also have the bill where he said he loaned me $300, that I deposit $300 into his account.
Are you saying you paid $300 of your own bills out of his money?
Yes, I did.
You have a letter indicating that it was with his permission that you paid $300 worth of your bills?
No, I don't have a letter.
Then you can't pay $300 of your bills using his money.
Okay.
Ms. Marsh, because if Paul is there for a psychiatric hospitalization,
okay,
you don't do anything with regard to your problems.
Mm-hmm.
You only deal with his problems if you're being a friend.
I did that, and I replaced the $300.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is what I was...
Okay.
There's it right here.
When did you replace the $300?
On 9/5/01.
What did he buy on his Zales account? A jewelry store?
He had bought a ring for me. He had bought like a necklace for me.
Did you buy gifts for her?
Yes, Your Honor, but I paid cash for him before we went on vacation to Orlando. There was only one bill that was paid while I was in the hospital, and that was $209.
Capital One bank credit card, $30, $83. Sprint cell phone?
That was her cell phone, Your Honor.
How do I know these are his bills?
Well, because we both had buddy phone bills. I have those.
You paid Sprint $125, and then you have another money order receipt that you paid Sprint $83.15.
Mm-hmm. For the 2 cell phones.
Well, why were you paying your bill from his account?
Because that's what he told me to do, Your Honor. He said...
No.
Because the phones were in his name.
No. But he's not using them. You had one phone. Who's doctor? A dentist?
I had to have a tooth extracted. And $70, yeah.
So why are you giving me this bill as a bill that you paid for him?
That was one that shouldn't have been in there, but okay.
So I got a Sprint bill that shouldn't have been in there? I got a jewelry store bill?
That's part of the loan, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Can I see how much money was taken out of your account?
It was showing there what was deposited and what was withdrawn the same day, the $300.
All right, now, Miss Marsh, when he got out of the hospital, what happened?
Paul wanted to continue dating, and I told him, I said, Paul, too much is going on. I just don't think it's going to work out between the two of us. And that's when Mr. Cochran started stalking and...
He didn't say anything to you about the money that was taken out of his account?
No, ma'am. He never said anything about the money. This issue came up after the breakup.
Your Honor?
Yes.
The day I got home, I received a bank statement showing the withdrawals, and I called her and asked her why she withdrew the money from my account without my consent.
And what did she say?
And she hung up on me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have they advised you to be under psychiatric care?
No, Your Honor.
Have they advised you to be on medication?
No.
I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Cochran.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paul Cochran Jr. says ex-girlfriend Odella Marsh stole money from his bank account while he was in the hospital. Paul says when he was released, Odella had him falsely arrested for stalking.
Now I want to hear about this bracelet. Why did you have to wear a bracelet, sir?
I went to the police station on the case on the bank account.
Okay.
I was arrested in the police department on a warrant by the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department in our town to say that I was stalking her, intimidating her, and invasion of privacy.
Were you doing that?
No, ma'am, I was not.
How was he doing that, Miss Marsh?
Mr. Cochran was phoning my house he was creating problems on my job to where they fired him off of my job. And he came up to the job one day, just radical. He had, that day he had the gun with him. And I left, and I have witness, I went to the police department, and I just was filing.
Do you have the papers from the criminal court which ordered you to wear the monitoring bracelet?
Yes, I do.
And the certificate of
I have
disposition?
everything.
I have
I'd like to see the papers, please.
Okay,
I
here's
got the arrest warrant and everything.
here's everything contrary. Okay?
His, hers.
Thank you. What happened when you appeared in court on July 15th, 2002?
When I appeared in court on that day, his case was dismissed because the last incident where I had to use the panic button, of which I had a device that I carried in my car every day, which was ordered by the court, and also had a panic button that I was to keep on my persons at all times. Mr. Cochran was out by the apartment building, and the machine didn't go off. That stunned me because it's supposed to pick him up.
Your Honor.
Yes, go ahead.
On July, they said that there was several false police reports on the incident, so the prosecutor and the judge dismissed it because of false police reports. The prosecutor checked in on it, which the monitor will pick up if I come in with 500 feet. On the day that she hit the panic button, I was not in the area. Somebody else was driving my car at the time to see if there was a false police report being made. That's why the case was dismissed. There was an undercover police officer driving the car.
Your Honor, I have a witness that knows how Paul reacted during this time.
May I speak, ma'am?
Sure. Who are you?
I'm a coworker of hers.
Go ahead.
I was the one who called 911 when he had the seizure in the lobby. I was the one who barred him permanently from our store because he had come in to talk to her after he had gotten out of the hospital.
What happened when he would come into the store?
He would try to talk to Odella, and she did not want to speak to him, and she had told him that before. And I simply said, things are not going well. Please leave her alone. If you cannot behave like a gentleman, you can no longer come in here.
Did he not behave like a gentleman when he came in?
He was loud, and he stayed for hours, would not allow her to do her job.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have friends that went there, you know, older guys. I've been going to that place ever since the day it opened up, and I never, ever harassed or anything. I just...
No. Listen to me, sir.
Yeah.
You were asked not to go back.
I didn't go back after the day I left the hospital.
Yes, he
I
did.
never returned.
Yes, he did. I asked him not to come back, and a week later he came back again, and Odella was there, and he wanted to talk to her, and she did not want to speak to him, and that is when I permanently barred him from the store.
So he came back one other time?
He came back another time after that.
When was that?
A week to 2 weeks after that. The first thing I did was call Odella, and I said, he does not look right. He had the same look he had the morning that he passed out and had the seizure on my floor. Please be careful.
Did you ever see him with a gun?
No, I did not. But I am the one who encouraged her to get the restraining order, and I am the one who had her make copies of the receipts.
The copies of the receipts are...
Apparently they're not doing any good, but...
They're not doing any good because they're all not his bills.
Yes,
You're going to get the money back that was taken from your ATM because she can't establish to my satisfaction that she used that money for your benefit.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You are not going to get back the money for having been forced to wear a bracelet because I believe this lady when she tells me that you were in her place of business when you were told that it's not a good idea for you to be there. And my sense is that you were frustrated. I don't know why, either because you still cared for the lady or because you were angry over the money or whatever reason, but that you didn't do the right thing, and she was afraid because you weren't exactly right. Are you on medication now, Mr.
No,
Cochran?
Your Honor.
You're not?
No.
Are you under any psychiatric care right now?
No, Your Honor.
Have they advised you to be under psychiatric care?
No, Your Honor.
Have they advised you to be on medication?
No.
I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Cochran. In any event, I'm going to get back the money from your ATM card, but not for the electronic bracelet, because that was probably necessary. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was filing false police reports and trying to intimidate me, making me look bad and her look good.
He became just a maniac.
I hope people that see this realize what women can do to you. You know, they can clean you out.
Hopefully this is over. Paul will move on with his life and just leave me alone.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McKay Schuler versus Anglin. Step forward, please.
19-year-old waitress Ashley McKay and her boyfriend, 23-year-old dishwasher Craig Schuler, are suing their ex-roommate, customer service rep Brandy Anglin, for the return of personal property. Brandy is countersuing for rent, a security deposit, and the cost of living expenses.
Ms. McKay, were you a friend of the defendants?
No, we were a friend of her boyfriend.
Okay. According to your complaint, you and your boyfriend moved in with the defendant because you were having some financial difficulties and I gather got evicted from where you were living. You say that she agreed to let you stay there until you got back on your feet. Then something happened, she threw you out. It's your claim that she kept some of your property. You want her to pay for the property she kept. The defendant says that she did in fact keep some of your property because you owed her so much money, that you were there for 3 months, and in the 3 months that you were there gave her a total of $40. You didn't pay rent, you ate all of her food, you had a lot of other bills that you had while you were there, and she's counterclaiming. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When did you move into her house?
August 19th.
And when did she put you out?
It was September 18th.
So you were there 1 month?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
No.
When did she move in?
July.
July what?
29th.
And when did she move out?
September 18th.
So she was there 6 weeks. Okay. What stuff do you claim she kept?
We have a whole list right here. We have a 27-inch TV, a DVD player, a stereo, PlayStation 2, a fridge. We had Oriental rugs that were taken, my cell phone, DVDs, PlayStation games, VCR tapes, CDs, the book that had our CDs in it, our CD holder.
Where's all that stuff?
I don't know. I'm missing stuff also. And I take it that they didn't receive it either. But I do have
I don't understand what
a
you're
few
talking
things.
about. When you moved out, all this stuff was in the house, and I gather you told them to leave.
I told them to leave that night.
That night, and they
come back.
left. And at the time they left, all that stuff was in the house.
Yes.
So where is it now?
My stuff's missing too also.
No.
Okay, where
the
the
day
stuff is?
they left, because you told them to leave. You were angry about something. I don't care what you were angry about. They left, and they didn't have opportunity to take all this stuff when you told them to leave that night. The next day, where was their stuff?
Still in the house.
When did you realize it was no longer there?
When the landlord showed up the 20th to get rent, and when I paid him the rent, he comes in the house like he usually does, and his translators come in, and he saw holes in the walls that they left in their room and in the door, and he told me to get out. So in the process of moving my stuff, some of my stuff came up missing.
I don't believe a word she says. When did you go back to get your property?
The 19th. So it was the very next day that we went back.
All right, you're suing for $3,000. The stuff that you have on this list is substantially more than that, but I gather that your limit is $3,000 in
Yes,
small
correct.
claims court. Is that right? Okay. I don't believe this much of what you just told me about. I have no idea where their 27-inch TV is, where their DVD player is, where their VCR is, their PlayStation, where their small refrigerator is. I don't believe that you don't know where
I
that
do
stuff
know
is.
where that is.
Where is
I
it?
do. I've got that in storage at the place that I'm staying at.
Oh,
I do. The
there
TV,
you go.
not
There
the
you
DVD,
go.
but a VCR and a cell phone, which actually we have the same cell phone, but mine's a prepaid and hers a CenturyTel, and I have tried to return that to her because I don't want obligations to where accidents, somebody getting a hold of her phone.
What about
and
a
make cell
television,
phone.
her DVD player, a stereo, PlayStation, refrigerator?
No, PlayStation, I do not have. I do not. I will account for what I do have. I have 5 items of theirs.
Well, then let's hear what 5 items you have.
I have the 27-inch TV.
Okay.
I have a VCR.
Mhm.
I have the mini refrigerator.
Okay.
I have the cell phone and a microwave.
Now, I'm going to go over this very carefully with you, because if I find anything on here that I don't believe that you actually left when you left, that's not a good idea for you. You've got $400 worth of jewelry. You want to tell me about that?
Most of it was rings that my mom gave to me when she was about 16. She gave them to me. That's when she had them. I had a silver necklace for my grandma. I had 2 of those.
Why didn't you take that with you when you left?
When we were kicked out, it was about 12:30 at night, and she said, "Get the out of my house. I have 2 gentlemen downstairs that will escort you out if you don't leave."
What items did you take when you left?
We got dressed, put our coats on. I grabbed my purse, money, car keys. That was it, and we took out.
Where's her jewelry?
I don't know where the jewelry is. I do not. I've never seen her wear a bit of jewelry. I don't know.
Do you have any of her CDs?
No, I do not.
You know where they are?
No, I do not.
Okay. Within 5 days, the TV, VCR, refrigerator, cell phone, the microwave are to be turned back to the plaintiffs. They're in storage?
Yes, they are.
What's the name of the storage?
It's actually at the place where I'm living, in the basement. That's the storage. My stuff is in storage also down there. I'm using my ex-mother-in-law's house as that, because I have a lot of my stuff down there also.
What's your counterclaim?
Okay, they lived with us rent-free. Okay.
6 weeks, right.
Yeah. They made me lose my deposit on the house because they're little bickering, arguing, fussing, fighting all the time. And I lost my deposit because they got too upset at each other and him throwing stuff or punching the walls or whatever it is. I lost my deposit on my house.
You mean your security deposit?
Yes, I do.
Did you make any holes in the walls?
No, ma'am, I did not. Her and her boyfriend be fighting all the time. That's where the holes came from.
Go ahead.
They'd sleep all day. I even got her job at where I was working.
Would you tell me what they owe you money for, please?
What they owe me money for? They lived there rent-free. They ate all the groceries. The only groceries they brought in, I guess, was at like 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. They'd bring them in snacks.
Well, what was your arrangement with them?
My arrangement was $325 a month, and it was supposed to be including everything but food, which is gas and electric, stuff like that.
When did you make this arrangement with them?
Arrangement was made with them in July, the beginning of July. Other than that, but they, I'd watch his son when they were up doing whatever they wanted to.
What money did you give them towards the expenses of running the house?
Well, we did only give them $40. We had no agreement before we moved in.
Let's say you didn't.
Okay.
What about food?
She said she took care of the food. We could eat whatever we wanted. Her cabinets were always stocked. As long as if we made dinner, we made enough for everybody, and they would do the same thing.
Well, who bought the food?
She did.
Why should she support you?
We actually, when I started working, we went out to eat like every night. We started keeping food up in our bedroom. That's why the fridge was in our bedroom that my mom bought us, because we felt like we weren't allowed to eat there. All we did eat there was like eggs, cereal, macaroni and cheese, just side items. We didn't get into any meat, any expensive things whatsoever.
What difference does it make? That's food. Why should they support you?
That's just what she told us when we moved in. That
Why would she do that? Why would she do that? I don't believe that you necessarily had a rent arrangement with them, but I certainly believe that you didn't have an arrangement with them where you were going to support them like they were your children for the 6 weeks that they were there. And even if they paid minimally to cover some of the expenses, $50 a week, which was minimally what you absorbed while you were there, that would be $300 for the 6 weeks that you lived with them. I think that the rest of your stuff here maybe is worth $500. The difference in that is $200, and that's what you're going to get, period. Plus the remainder of the stuff that she has that's in storage. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They're actually looking for Craig right now, so.
She's lying. She's lying about everything.
Well, because they want to have questions for him on the threats and everything.
She's just full of it.
Threatening me when I left the store. They were swerving to hit my children.
I never threatened her.
Because I can't go out in public with all the threats that he told the neighbors.
I don't know, it was just messed up. I don't even know.
To watch my back and everything.
Mechanic Mark Liebert and his wife Margaret are suing their neighbors, construction worker David Bowen and his girlfriend Ada Wilson, for a stolen pair of glasses and medical bills as the result of an assault. David is countersuing, claiming Mark assaulted him.
Order. All rise.
Okay. Yeah, this is case number 377 on the calendar in the matter of Liebert versus Bowen. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Are you ladies really involved in this case? You're not the actual plaintiff or defendant, so why don't you sit down, because this has to do with the gentleman. Mr. Liebert, is this your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendant, who is a neighbor of yours, assaulted you. You want to be compensated for that assault. You lost wages, your medical bills, pain and suffering. Mr. Bowen says that no, it was you who attacked him, and he is counterclaiming. How long have you been neighbors?
Probably the last 3 years.
Right. I gather from the answer in the complaint in this case that there was some trouble after someone reported someone else to the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, who did that reporting?
I did, Your Honor.
Tell me why.
Because of the continuous problem of that we don't have no sewers on the street, so they have a salvage yard, or he stores cars, whatever, and when he does that, they take engines out and they salvage their parts in their driveway, and then they inadvertently wash it out, and it comes across my driveway. And then, if last year we had been in a drought...
You're talking about the oil and
the oil and all of his stuff that comes across my driveway is continuously muddy. So I asked the plaintiff...
Muddy from dirt or oil?
Oil, antifreeze, whatever comes out of a car when you salvage it.
So because you had this oil and sludge on your property, you reported him to the Environmental Protection Agency.
Yes.
And what happened as a result of that, Mr. Liebert?
Nothing, as far as I know. I have not received anything.
Did you get a ticket?
No.
Did somebody come out there and look at your property?
As far as I know, no.
Did you know about his complaint?
Yes, I have.
Well, how did you know about his complaint?
Well, I was washing the car one day, and the water ran to his driveway.
Right.
So that's the first time I heard his complaint about it.
Well, what did you do after he complained to you that all of this schmutz was ending up on his property? What did you do?
Well, I don't wash every day, so I didn't, you know.
You didn't change the way you did business.
No, I was just washing the car only. And I don't do it maybe once a month.
He's not talking about washing cars. He's talking about salvaging cars.
I don't salvage cars.
You don't take cars apart?
No. If I do anything, it's in the garage. I do not have a
permit. I'm not sure whether I believe that. All right. Tell me what happened, Mr. Liebert.
Yes, ma'am. I was in the backyard, and I heard my dad yelling. And I come out to see what he was yelling about, and he said the neighbor swerved his car towards him when he was walking up the hill. And I came out there, and the neighbor, Mr. Bowen, come running up the hill, and we started yelling back and forth. And then once he started yelling back and forth, I told him I didn't want no problems, and he spit in my face. So I took him to the ground.
How did you do that?
Just wrestled him to the ground. Then I let him back up. He gets in my face again, and he goes and, motions to swing at me. I took him to the ground again, and I started hitting him. I hit him about 6 times.
So, according to you, he spit at you first.
Yes, ma'am.
You took him down to the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
He got up.
Yeah.
He again got in your face, which means he didn't hit you, but he got in your face yelling. You took him down again and started to hit him and hit him at least 6 times.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
Well, when the first time I took him down, my glasses slid off, and I never recovered them. Then I let him up again. I backed off. He tries kicking me again.
No, you didn't say he tried.
Oh, he tries kicking me.
You didn't tell me that before,
No.
sir.
No,
All you did was say he got in your face.
He tries kicking me. And I grab his foot, and he dropped to the ground again. I stood back. He picks up a rock and throws at my father that was looking for my glasses.
So he threw a rock after you would hit him 6 times?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, and then
Where did you hit him, by the way?
I don't know, probably maybe the face.
And when you hit him with your fist?
Yes, ma'am.
So then he got up and he threw a rock.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Meanwhile, I was looking for my glasses. He kept on throwing rocks. One bounce hit me in the shin, and then one hit me directly in the rib cage.
And that's the assault that you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like you to tell me your version of these events, Mr. Bowen.
On the date of August 29th, I was coming home from work approximately about 4:30 p.m. And I know Mr. Liebert, he was walking up the road in the middle of the road. And the road in question is very narrow. There was nowhere for me to go either side of the road. And when I seen him, I was pretty close. As I observed him, he bent over and picked up what I thought to be a rock. So I didn't have no choice but to stop, so I hit my brakes, and as I stopped, Mr. Liebert come rushing up to my door with a rock in his hand. I didn't know what to do, so I started to open the door. He ran up and pushed my door shut, and when he pushed it shut, he fell down. I then pushed my door open and got out. Still not knowing what to do, he had a rock in his hand, was getting up, so I picked me up a rock. I said, hey, what's the problem? I'm just got home from work. What is your problem? And he'd been saying he's going to get me for all these things I've been turning him in for. And he's just, yeah, I'm tired of you yelling. I can't even tell you all what he was yelling at me. So we had our altercations. My sister and my
What do you mean you had your altercations? What does that mean?
We were arguing back and forth.
Just verbally?
After it was over, he walked back up on his property, continued to throw rocks. I said, I had enough of this. I said, Suze, which my sister was standing right there, I said, Suze, I will be back up to talk to you because we were leaving to go to Flintstone Park to take my girlfriend and her 2 kids on vacation to see Flintstones. So, I'm sorry, so I got down there, I walked back up the hill to talk to my sister. When I got back up there, Mr. Liebert come out, and as he come down, he was yelling at me what my problem was. He spit from about 10 or 15 feet away, hit me right in the face, so I took my glasses off, and I no sooner got my glasses off and he rushed me. He grabbed me by the arm, pushed me straight back down the hill and fell on top of me. At this point, there was nothing I could do. My arms were trapped underneath me. The only thing was left was my arm on the side. I thought he was getting in a lot of punches. As Ada and all the other witnesses said, he's on top of me and is kicking me in the head and the ribs. And well, at that point, my girlfriend come up, jumped on his back, started punching him in the back. Denise came up with the cell phone, started hitting him on the head. That inadvertently called my sister, which she heard all the commotion. She called the cops. That's how the cops got called. Then after that, they let me up. When I got up, Mr. Liebert was attempting to hit me with a rock, so I run out into the field to get away from him. And when I got out in the field, he chased me, pulled my shirt down over my head, and as I was trying to fight him, I fell down, and Miss Junior come running up and kicked me again in the ribs as I was on the ground. I got up, and the altercation pretty much ended after that.
Okay. Now, I understand from your complaint that you have a videotape of this incident. Is that right?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Hi! I'm in my yard. Hi, go! Dave!
That's you hitting him pretty good, sir.
Yes.
Crankhead, that's right. Crankhead! Hope you guys like to get sued.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
And later today,
Your husband went to shoot some of your neighbor's dogs with a BB gun.
Before that, he came back into the house and got a real gun and pointed it at the neighbors.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mark Liebert says neighbor David Bowen assaulted him during an argument. David says Mark started the fight.
Let's start it from the top, please, Bird. Now, you're in the red shirt, is that right?
Yep.
All right, it's getting camcorded! Camcorded! That's all right. He can threaten us all the time with a gun, honey. We got it all on camcorder. I got it all, honey. I always do. Hi. I'm in my yard. Hi. Psycho. Dave. Yep. Hi. Hi.
No.
Dude, you need to get off.
Who is that?
Whatever. Yeah. Hi.
Who is that?
His sister's friend.
That's you hitting him pretty good, sir.
Yes.
That's you
I got
punching
about
him
6
pretty
hits.
good.
I got about 6 hits on him.
Where's your gun at now, Dave?
See, I let him up. There's my glasses right there. The little girl's got my glasses again.
Who cares?
Okay.
There we go, watch.
Yeah, you yours. Stay off each other. Get out of my yard. You want to get out of my yard throwing rocks at my husband?
This ain't your yard.
Yeah, it is. That's my driveway. My driveway. My driveway. You're the incest. Quit your sister, y'all her. Crankhead. Crankhead. That's right. Crankhead. That's all you do is your brother's cousin and sister. Okay, I'm not talking about your family, you freaks. We're done when I say we're done. Whatever, freak. That's what freak. Freak. Crankhead. And we ain't you guys are crank. Whatever. Whatever. Call me whatever you want. Yeah. I don't let you drive. Yeah, that's all right. I know where you live. That's all right. You're shaking right now, too. Whatever. Hope you guys like to get sued.
That's bad. That is bad. A lot of it was not necessary. Yes.
Absolutely right. Most of it was unnecessary.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
both acted very badly that day, don't you think so?
Yes, ma'am.
So why are you here? Why are you getting me involved in this? Why are you getting the judicial system involved in your bad behavior?
I would like to get my doctor bills paid for and my
I
glasses.
would like to be 5'6". God didn't do that for me. Why are you encumbering a judicial system with nonsense where you have two neighbors who each individually acted badly, whose wives and sisters and friends all acted inappropriately, instead of sitting down and saying, boy, I acted like a real jerk, and I don't want anybody to view a tape of my acting like an idiot. My wife acting, it was your wife who was
Yes.
videotaping that,
Yes.
acting like a lowlife, gutter snipe, speaking like a gangster Why would I want to share that with anybody else? I want to keep that private because I'm so humiliated by the way my family behaved that day. Instead, you decide to come to court to sue for your medical bills. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Certain things we do in private.
Yes, ma'am.
We go to the bathroom in private. Please. We make love in private. Right? We have family squabbles in private. But if you behave badly and your family behaved badly, it's something that you don't want to expose to the rest of the world. You want to say it's a bad episode, I'm going to learn something from it, put a period at the end of it, right? Not expose myself and my family to worldwide scrutiny. You think that people looking at this tape think that you're a nice family?
No.
Think that she's a nice person?
No.
Listen to me, sir. You behave badly. And if you're going to have to live next to each other, then you have to do the right thing. So the first thing you have to do is not do anything on your property that interferes with the enjoyment that somebody else has of their property. And if you're washing cars on your property, and if because of the way the terrain is, it accumulates dirt and smudge and oil and other schmutz on his property, you have to find somewhere else to wash your cars.
Yes, Your Honor.
And if you're going to be a reasonable neighbor, that's what you do. And if you don't, and if you want to continue to have negative interactions with your neighbors so that you and your wife and your father act inappropriately, that's what's going to happen. Don't expect the justice system to support you. We have other more important things to do than support bad behavior. And if you have a problem, then what I suggest you do is you report him to the appropriate authorities, and eventually they will come out and they'll do whatever is necessary, but you don't act like a hooligan. So I say to both of you, both your cases are dismissed. Your claim and your counterclaim. Act like adults, responsible adults. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I pretty much got this whooped out of me.
We acted inappropriately.
I'm just going to have to do what I have to do, live with him.
We got to get along.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Moore versus Muhammad. Step forward, please.
Pharmacy technician Tracy Moore is suing her ex-boyfriend, private detective Busharat Muhammad, for an unpaid loan to get his car out of the shop. Busharat is countersuing for medical bills as the result of Tracy's harassment.
Miss Moore, you claim a loan, a small one, of $200 to the defendant who at some point was a boyfriend of yours.
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed says there was never a loan. You did, in fact, give him $200, which is the amount you're suing for, but that was for work that he was doing for you in his capacity as a private investigator. Mr. Mohammed has filed a counterclaim alleging that because you harassed him for this $200 over a long period of time, he developed an ulcer, and he would like you to pay some $2,000 for his medical bills. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you meet him, and when did you give him the $200?
I met him at the end of July in 2002. I loaned him the $200 on September 2nd in the agreement that he was going to pay me back.
September 2nd?
Yes, ma'am.
So did you start to date him? Were you dating him in July and August?
You could say that, yes.
What do you mean? I don't want to say that. I want to know if you want to say that.
Sorry. It was more of he tried starting to take control of me and was making me call him all the time, and so I guess he was claiming me as his girlfriend, yes.
I don't know what that means.
Your Honor, she's lying. That's why she can't even tell the court straight what's going on.
I'm going to get to you in a second. Did you go out to dinner together?
No, ma'am.
Did you go to a movie together?
No, ma'am.
Did you go visit a park together?
No, he was always...
A zoo?
No.
I don't want to hear anything. Did he come to your house?
Yes.
For dinner?
No, ma'am.
Did you have an intimate relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about this $200 in September.
He asked me to loan him $200 so he can get his car out of a shop.
Tell me where you were when you had this discussion.
In my apartment.
And exactly what did he say to you?
He asked me if he could borrow the $200 so he can get his car out of the shop, and that he would pay me back within 2 days when he got his money. And then he took me to the bank to cash my check, and that's when I gave him the $200.
And what happened on September 2nd? After that, you didn't see him anymore?
He didn't come over, and I would try and call him, and he told me to stop harassing him, and he would hang up on me.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Mohammed, let me hear you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, Your Honor, we never dated. We had a friendship, but we never dated. That's why she couldn't get it straight. I never told her my car was in the shop. She came to me. She said that her mother was trying to...
Just a second. She came to you where?
Well, we were at her house talking.
So you were at her house.
Exactly.
She didn't come to you.
No, we were at her house.
You went to her house.
I went to her house to visit her.
Go
And
ahead.
she said that her mother was her mother was really upset. And I said, about what? And she said, well, because she is trying to get money from her ex-husband, trying to garnish his wages. I said, well, I did investigation part-time before. If you want me to try to help you, I can save her a lot of money by taking her down to the court places where you could buy the paperwork, show her how to fill the paperwork out. She could do it herself.
You were going to take her to the courthouse.
No.
To where?
I have a client of mine that owns a store where he sells paper, you know, the packets that show you how to file on landlord disputes and certain things, small
Yes.
individual.
So you were going to take her to the store
Yes, ma'am.
and get her the right set of forms.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
And she said, yes. She said, well, I told her, well, for a flat fee of $200, I would do that. Ms. Moore said, I'll give it to him when I get my check in the mail.
Okay. So that's what you say it was for. You took her to the bank. She gave you the $200.
Exactly.
And that was on what date, sir?
That was around September the 7th or 8th.
Okay. Now, when did you take her mother to the store?
I never did.
Stop! You never did?
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what you were supposed to do, according to your answer, Mr. Mohammed, for the
Exactly.
$200.
Exactly.
So you didn't do what you had said you were going to do.
No, ma'am. I didn't.
Why not?
Because I tried to contact her mother 3 days in a row. In fact, after I got the money the next day, I called her. I said, look, we need to try to get down there and take her to the stationery
Okay,
store.
so you didn't get together with the mother, so keep going.
So she called me about 2 days later and said, I want the money back.
Right.
I said, I don't have it right now. I said, my thing was to help your mother. She said, well, I need the money. She said, because I got to pay bills and feed my children. I said, well, I don't have it right now. She said, well, you better get it.
You're a hustler.
I'm a hustler.
You're a hustler.
I'm about as much hustler
You're a
as you are.
hustler. You're a hustler, Mr. Mohammed. Let me tell you why you're a hustler. Because I read your answer very carefully. Let's understand what you've just testified to before I get to it. You said to me that this was not a loan.
Right.
This had nothing to do with your car.
Exactly.
You said to... Don't agree with me, sir. You said to me that you were having a discussion with her. She said her mother needed to do some work to get some alimony or support from her ex-husband. You had a friend who had a stationery store. You were going to take her mother down there and make sure she got the right forms. That's not something that costs $200.
No,
let me finish. I'm finishing now, but that's what you were going to do. And then, for one reason or another, within a day or two, you realized that this wasn't going to come about. You weren't going to take her mother down to get the forms, and therefore you had done nothing so far. Nothing for that $200. Now, let me read from your answer, sir. In August, she hired me to do some investigating on her mother's ex-husband. I made them a deal that I would do the work for a flat fee of $200 up front. I got started on the case. What case? Going to your friend's store? In any case, I started the work, and the few days I put in on the case are worth more than $200. That's what you swore to. You did nothing. Nothing. So why don't you give it back to her?
Because she had people coming over to where I live at, threatening me on the phone.
Why didn't you just give her back the $200 or say to her,
Because she
I'm
never
sorry,
said,
Miss Moore, I shouldn't have spent it before I did anything, but I
told her
spent
that.
it.
I told her that.
Did you tell her you would give it back to her?
I did tell her that.
Did you tell her when?
I told her to give me a couple of weeks.
So why, Mr. Mohammed, did you swear to, in your statement to me, that you had already done work on the case? Why didn't you just say, I told her that I would give her back her money, just give me 2 weeks, I didn't have it? Why didn't you write that in your answer?
Because I did tell her that. I did tell her I would give her the money back.
You didn't tell that to me.
Even though I initially had started, even though I contacted her 3 days in a row to contact her mother. I even met with her mother. Her mother came by and I talked to her mother.
You getting the whole thing?
I went to her house and talked to her mother.
You're getting the whole thing, right? All right, let's get to your counterclaim. So she bothered you. She called you 50 times a day.
No, she's sending
and you got
people
an
over to
ulcer.
my house threatening me with
And?
terroristic threats, physical violence.
And that gave
That's
you an
not
ulcer.
how you go about getting your money.
That gave you an ulcer?
Well, what gave me ulcer was deciding, well, should I kill these people for threatening me over $200? Or should I try? Because people don't understand. Little small things start great wars. And these people were threatening me with physical violence about $200. I'm not no punk or pushover. So if they got to bring a life to take a life, my point is that they come to take my life, I'm going to take theirs, even if it's about $200.
Good. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $200. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. Man, wait here.
The woman is threatening to send people over and threatening me with physical violence. Did she get into court acting like she's an innocent victim?
The only time I sent anyone to his house was when he said he had the money, but he had no way to get to my house.
She could have stopped the terroristic threats.
That was his main excuse. I don't have a ride.
Rule number one when dealing with the devil is don't.
I have not loaned anybody money since that day, and I won't do it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gomez versus Todd. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Bonnie Gomez is suing her daughter's ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old appliance salesman A.D. Todd, for an unpaid loan for bail. A.D. says he never asked Bonnie for help.
Mrs. Gomez, the defendant was dating your daughter. She was 17 at the time, and according to your complaint, he got himself arrested, called you, begged you to bail him out of jail. You did. It was a loan, and he hasn't paid you back.
That's correct.
When did he call you and tell you that he had been arrested?
He called me on June 20th, about 10 p.m.
And what did he say to you?
He said that he had gotten himself arrested for a mistaken identity, is what he told me.
He got himself arrested for a mistaken identity?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the last time I looked in the penal law that was a crime.
Yeah, I didn't either. So he asked if I could bail him out, and his words were, "Miss Bonnie, please, I can't stand it here. Please bail me out."
Your Honor, she's lying.
Did I ask you anything yet?
No, ma'am.
So I asked him how the bond system worked, because I'm not familiar with how jail and stuff works, and he says, well, if you put up the bond, you get the money back. So I spoke to somebody at the bond company, and they said the way it works is that they put up a big bond for him, I pay some, but I don't get it back. They get their money back if he shows up to court. And so I hesitated, and they said, well, we have 2 other bonds out on him, so he's a good risk, he will go to court. And I said, well, let me think about it. And he
Did you know at the time that he had been arrested at least twice before?
No, I did not.
What was he arrested for this time?
Well, what he told me originally was that it was mistaken identity, and after I bailed him out, he told me that his girlfriend, the mother of his baby, had said that he had beat her up. Come to find out later on, when I went to get a copy of what he was arrested for, he was arrested for possession with intent to distribute and criminal impersonation.
Drugs?
Drugs, yeah. And I supposedly, from what I understand, impersonating a police officer.
Okay. So you posted his bond?
Yes.
$1,500?
Right.
Did you ever get it back?
No.
Did you ask him for it back?
When I bailed him out of jail that night, I said to him on the telephone before I went to the jail, I said, you know, I need this money back. I'm a single mom raising 5 kids, you know, my health hasn't been very good for a few years. I haven't been able to work. What I have is in my savings, and that's what I'm supporting my kids with. And he says, Miss Bonnie, I have the money. I just have to go get it. As soon as I get you, you know, you come and get me out of jail, we'll go get the money. I said, okay, fine. And I said, would you sign an IOU? And he said, yes, I will. He says, I'll sign whatever. You want to put interest on there, whatever, I'll sign it. So went ahead, went over to the jail, signed him out of jail, wrote a check out for what it cost to get him out, the $1,500. It was about probably 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. And he says, you know, Miss Bonnie, it's a little late, you know, to go over to my friend's house, so let's just wait till the daytime. And I said, that's fine, you know, because I was pretty tired as well. And come the next morning, you know, a few hours later, I made him sign an IOU, which I can't find now, it disappeared. And he left and haven't seen him since.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bonnie Gomez says her daughter's ex-boyfriend, A.D. Todd, owes for an unpaid loan for bail. A.D. says he never asked Bonnie for help.
Where were you arrested, sir?
At the apartment that I stayed at.
What were you arrested for?
Possession.
Possession of what?
Marijuana.
That was at least the 3rd arrest that we know about, because you'd been bonded twice before. What were your prior arrests?
Harassment and driving without a license.
You don't get arrested for driving without a license, sir.
Well,
bonded.
in Colorado, if you ain't got your license and insurance, you do go to jail.
Uh-huh.
Right. Okay, but anyways, Your Honor, when I went to jail, I called Mrs. Gomez's daughter. I asked her, would she go and tell my mom to get me out of jail? She said, all right. That's the last time I ever called her house. 2.5, 3 hours later, there was somebody bailing me out. They told me to pack my stuff. You know, I got out. You know, Erica was sitting there, and I didn't know who Miss Gomez was at the time because I never met her. So I signed the bail bondsman papers. Miss Gomez leaves out with us. And we gets to her house, you know, because I stayed like 2-3 blocks away. You know, and I'm talking to her. You know, next thing you know, I goes home that night, and I comes back the next day. And she tells me, well, Mr. Todd, you know that you're going to owe me $1,500 for getting me out. I'm like, you know, shocked. I didn't think I owed her anything. I mean, I didn't ask her to bail me out of jail. She did on her own. I mean, if her daughter did, then that's on them. That's not on me. But I was dating her daughter at the time, you know, and I guess I picked up responsibility and said, okay. You know, so like 2, maybe 3 days later, I had like a really bad necklace, you know.
Like a really bad necklace? What was wrong with it?
No, I mean, I had like, I had
cheap.
a nice, really expensive necklace. It was Pegasus. It was about yay big. And
Probably cost $2 at a flea market.
yeah, it had like 2.5 carats worth of Marquise and Big Ed diamonds in it. I mean, it wasn't like Cuban zirconia. It was retail price of like $15,000, and I gives it to the plaintiff's daughter, and I never seen it since then. You know, I never called the house again, and Ms. Gomez never said that I owe her any money. She never brought the subject up to me. You know, everything was all right from what I knew. I say about a month and a half later, me and her daughter still talking. You know, I comes back from the store. It was me and my little brother and my baby's mom. And we gets out of the car, and this white car pulls up. Miss Gomez is in the passenger seat. Then a bunch of little Mexicans get out the car and try to beat me up. You know, taking off their shirts, saying, "What's up, Holmes? You know, is this him? Is this him?" I hear a lady in the background saying, yeah, that's him. You know, so they run up to me, and I'm taking off my jewelry so I can, honestly.
You wouldn't mind showing me that jewelry, would you, sir?
No.
Could I see it up here, please, Bert? Would you get that for me?
You want to see what's on my neck, too?
No, that's what you're going to give Bert is sufficient. Keep talking, Mr. Todd.
Okay.
I'm fascinated.
Okay. But anyways.
No, really, really.
Okay.
No, I don't know. Please don't laugh. I'm fascinated.
Okay, but after the little essays run up on me and try to beat me up, you know, my little brother goes in the house and gets my mom. You know, she gets out of the car. My mom says, you know, what's going on? My mom didn't even know who these people were. Miss Sanchez get out of the car, and she's like, well, your son owes me $1,500. I'm just looking like, I don't owe you a thing, you know. Never once did I get told that I owe you any money. You know, so after that, you know, I never seen Mrs. Gomez again. You know, after I gave her the necklace, it was like, I guess everything was okay.
So what you're saying is you gave her daughter the necklace to pay off this debt? Is
Yeah,
that what
she
you're
could have
telling
took it to any pawn shop.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Todd, usually when you go to court, you get all dressed up?
Yes, ma'am.
Put on your finest, right?
No. It's not my finest.
You have better.
Yes.
Really? Have better clothes?
Yes.
Have better jewelry?
Yes.
Where's your better jewelry?
This is like from way back, before I even moved to Colorado.
I'm talking about this jewelry.
All this stuff is old. I had this stuff for a long time.
Because one would think if you were wearing all this flashy junk that, that this would be your best stuff.
No.
Right? No, the best stuff you gave away to her daughter. The one with
It was one of the best.
The $15,000
Yes, ma'am.
piece.
It was one of the best.
Wasn't any junk like this. Wasn't any
No,
glass like this, you
No,
know,
ma'am.
in whatever kind of metal this is.
All right.
Right?
Right.
It was a really good one. Gold
ma'am.
and diamonds and
Yes, ma'am.
and well-cut stones that was worth $15,000. Where did you get $15,000 from?
Family.
From your family?
Yes. My dad had bought the necklace for me at the time.
Really? He must love you very much. Must be very proud of you.
Yeah.
Yo, or $1,500. Listen, you get yourself arrested. She's nice enough to come at 2 o'clock in the morning, leave her 5 children to come and pick you up, and you're doing a dance? Do me a favor, return this garbage to him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. Thank
you.
Advisors are excused. You may step out.
Well, I'm just glad that everybody in Colorado knows what kind of person A.D. Todd is.
I just don't think she heard my side, and never once did I ask her to get me out.
If you borrow something, you need to pay it back.
Don't trust a woman.
Just let them stay in jail. Obviously, they did something to get themselves there.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Campbell versus Mason. Step forward, please.
16-year-old Katie Campbell and her mother, Kathy Campbell, are suing Katie's former friend, 17-year-old Tim Mason, and his mother, Tamara Mason. Katie says Tim cut her hair against her will.
Miss Campbell, this is your daughter?
Yes.
And you're suing on her behalf, is that right?
Yes.
And Miss Mason, this is your son?
Yes.
And you're defending the suit on his behalf because you are how old, sir?
17 years old.
All right, so I'd like all the mothers to sit down, please. I'm going to make short work of this. Miss Campbell, it is your complaint that the defendant assaulted you by cutting your hair off.
Yes.
And you want him to pay all sorts of damages because you wanted to be a model and it took you 5 years to grow your hair. and that was your crowning glory, and he made a mess of it when he cut it. Is that right?
Correct.
Is this the young lady that you were with when he cut your hair?
Yes.
All right, you step up here. Let's do this very, very fast.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-old Katie Campbell says former friend 17-year-old Tim Mason cut her hair against her will. Katie says it's been a serious setback to her modeling career.
You wanted to get your hair done?
Yeah.
She was just going along for the ride.
Right, it was her.
Where were you going to go to get your hair done?
He was coming to our house. He was just a friend of hers.
Okay, and he wants to be a hairdresser?
No, not
You
at all.
just want to be...
I don't want nothing to do with hair. They asked me as a favor. I do my hair every once in a while, pull it through a cap, and they asked me to come over to do it out of a favor.
What were you going to do for this young lady?
Fix Katie's mess up of her hair dye.
Color or cut?
Color.
Color. So he was going to color you. Now, why would you let him color your hair?
He was a friend of hers.
Friend of whose?
My sister's. Mine.
Now, did he color your hair?
Yes, he did.
Good. And then he cut your sister's hair.
Right.
Tell me how that happened.
Well, he cut my sister's hair. I mean, he colored my sister's hair. And then he pulled me into the bathroom, and he had...
How did he pull you? You're bigger than he is.
Well, he said, come to the bathroom. And I said, okay, what are we doing? And he's like, well, I'm going to feather your hair. And I said, what does that mean? And he pulled out like a comb that he had in his own bag. And he said, I'm going to feather it. And I said, well, I don't know what that means. You're not cutting my hair if that's what you mean. And he said, no, I'm not cutting your hair. And he repeatedly said he was not cutting my hair. And I said, okay, then what do you mean by feather it? And he said, just trust me. So he sat me down in the chair, and, you know, he took like a tiny little bit off the ends. And I said, well, that's cutting my hair. And he said, no, I'm just going to take the dead ends off so, you know, so it'll grow faster. And I was like, well, I don't know. So he took all my hair into the back, kind of like a ponytail, and he took the comb and he just hit it like really hard right in the middle. And like in a matter of seconds, it was all gone. And so then I started...
Goodbye! It's all gone.
And so I started crying, and I was screaming. I was saying, you know, stop. And
stop. And then he finished it up. All right. Yeah, give me your version.
I came over. Katie picked me up, met me at a specific location to go to a supply store to get bleach for her hair and a couple of supplies. I asked Katie, okay, are we going to do your hair? She said, okay, we'll buy an extra kit for mine, just in case I like Shelly's hair, how it turns out. So she bought all the products. We bought a kit for her. I brought this comb, and I said, okay, if you wanted to do your hair, feather it, whatever, this is what I got. This is a feathering, texturizing comb. It is used to texturize and feather hair. It does not use to chop off big amounts of hair.
So would you just tell me how come you cut her hair? Tell me what happened.
She asked me to cut her hair.
And where did she ask you to cut her hair?
At her sister's apartment, in the bathroom.
Where? In the bathroom?
Yes.
How did she get into the bathroom?
We walked into the bathroom.
Both of you walked in. You didn't pick her up. You didn't pick her up and carry her there,
No.
did you?
No.
No.
Willingly.
Huh?
We all willingly went to the bathroom, had, you know, she had Kool-Aid, we were all having a good time. I was playing with
Listen,
her son.
Miss Campbell, get over it. Get over it. You were playing around with your sister. She was letting some unprofessional teenager do stuff on her hair. Whether you let him, whether he was acting like an idiot or not, you have choices. Your choice is, you don't go to the bathroom, you don't sit down, you don't say, I don't understand what feathering is. What's feathering? Is it going to cut my hair? You say, don't touch my hair, it's my crowning glory.
I did.
Then you leave.
I tried, and he pushed me back down. And he hit my arm down too when I was trying to stop him. And he said, shut the F up and get over it. You know, it's done and done. And
But it was already done.
Yeah,
already
when he was doing it, and then he's like, I need to fix it, and you know, this is my career. I've been growing it out, and you know.
So, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?
I don't
You
know.
won't put yourself in this situation. The three teenagers put themselves in this situation. He certainly doesn't have any money to pay you. Why should his mother have to deal with that? I want to tell you something. If you're not a professional hairdresser, if you're not licensed, you're not supposed to be working on anybody. Your only redeeming trait right now is that you are 17 and you are not of age where you could really lose the ability to practice this kind of career permanently. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is this what you want to do as a profession?
I was doing it for favor. I don't want nothing to do with hair. Nothing.
So that I don't understand why you would even take somebody else's head.
They didn't have the money to get it done. She says, oh, I saw, you know, your friends.
Mr. Mason, listen to me very carefully. If you don't know anything about hair, if you don't profess to know anything about hair, and don't indicate that you know anything about hair, why wouldn't Shelley have her sister do the same thing on her hair that you did if you know nothing about hair? If you don't profess to know anything about hair. Do you understand?
I understand.
It doesn't make any sense unless you suggest that one of them likes you, one of them has a crush on you.
Katie asked me to homecoming.
Did she?
Yes.
When?
In the beginning of the fall, and I wasn't able to make it.
Is that right?
Your Honor, he's gay, and he said that he,
I'm
he
gay?
said he would go as a friend. Yes, he said he would go as a friend because she didn't have a date and she didn't want to miss the only dance because she's doing internet
So
school.
did you go together?
No, he ditched me for it. He didn't show up.
Even more reason not to invite him over to your home.
Right. Well, he apologized and
take
everything, and he
care
had a message
of
on
things
there. Right.
that he has no business taking care of, which means he
Right.
lets somebody who has absolutely no training do anything
Right.
to you, because aside from anything else, you could get hurt. Not just your hair, which grows back. You know, whether it takes 6 months or a year, your hair's going to grow back.
Right.
But other things, you're using bleach on your head, you're using caustic materials, you're letting some schlemiel over here who has no talent take care of you. Very foolish. Your case is dismissed. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's like, well, I'm a professional hairdresser. Just kept chopping it off. It was gone in a matter of like less than 2 minutes. All of her hair was chopped off.
Katie's, you know, she's got a rough life. She's a high school dropout. She lives with her sister in a small apartment with a child, and her mom shoots up drugs.
He chopped my hair off a couple weeks before I was going to go get my portfolio done, and now I can't do that.
With that kind of attitude and her look, she will never make it as a model or actor, even with the hair that she had before me cutting it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Link versus Booth. Step forward, please.
Business owner Joyce Link is suing her neighbor, carpenter John Booth, for damage to her vehicle. Joyce says a drunken John fell against her van.
Miss Link, the defendant is a neighbor of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that he and a bunch of his drunken friends were coming home one evening and fell on your car or van, causing a dent in the van.
Yes.
Mr. Booth says it wasn't him.
Okay.
So tell me when this happened.
It was on a Saturday night, February 16th, 2002, around 12:31 a.m. in the morning. Me and my husband and children were in our house asleep, and we were awoken by some loud voices outside. So we got up, me and my husband, and looked out our bedroom window, and it was Mr. Booth and 4 of his friends. They were drunk, falling into our van and my next-door neighbor's bushes. And we proceeded to go outside, me and my husband, and I asked them to please get off my vehicle. And the next thing I know, Mr. Booth is yelling about, you know, him and his friends.
No, what was he saying to you, Miss Link? I've heard everything.
He was yelling that we woke my effing neighbors up, and one of his friends had apologized for being on our vehicle. He told me that he was sorry, and Mr. Booth yelled, "Sorry, hell, I fell." I have pictures of my vehicle and my neighbor's bushes that happened that night.
Okay, can I see them, please?
The next morning, we proceeded to get John Booth's attention on the matter, and no one would come to the door, so my husband had wrote a note and taped it to his front door. Then on Monday morning, I was on my way out, and Mr. Booth's wife had approached me.
What was the note? What did the note say?
That they needed to get in touch with us about the damages that was done to our van due to him and his friends being drunk that Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Booth's wife seen the damages, and she said that she would let her husband know and to get an estimate, and the damages would be taken care of.
Did Mr. Booth ever contact you?
Yes, that evening. Again, I was outside, and he approached me, and he apologized for what happened and told me that him and his friends don't remember anything. They were too drunk. Again, he did apologize, and he said to go get an estimate that he would take care of the damages. So I did go get an estimate, and I left it on their door because that's how we were notifying each other. So I did go get the estimate, and I left it taped to his front door.
Okay, Mr. Booth?
So far, everything's semi-right. Yeah, we did go out and get drunk. we got a little carried away. The wife was feeling sick, so we went up to the neighborhood bar so I wouldn't bother her. We were up there partying, got a little carried away, come on home. We were pretty intoxicated, okay, yeah. And when we passed her house, the guy that actually did the damage, him and his girlfriend were lagging behind me. I was already in my driveway when her car got damaged.
Were these people that you were out drinking with, were they men or women?
Both. We were all couples.
Well, not you weren't a couple. Your
No, I
wife
was in front.
Shh. Let me finish, sir. You weren't a couple. Your wife was sick.
Yes.
That means there were 5 of you.
Yes.
And where were these 2 couples going from the bar?
To my house.
What were they going to do in your house?
They're going to spend the night.
So they were invited guests of
Yes.
yours. And you escorted them to the bar?
Mm-hmm.
And then you all got drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were escorting your friends, invitees of yours, back to your home for the purposes of sleeping there.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Then I don't give a rat's behind who it was that fell on the van, sir. You're responsible.
Okay,
Okay! That's good. That's what you should have said 3 months ago. Mr. Booth, in the last few months, how much money have you sent them towards the repair of the car?
I don't feel like I sent anything.
What do you mean
I
you don't
didn't do the
feel like?
damage.
Didn't you just follow what I said? Didn't you just follow what I said?
Okay, I was escorting him back to the house. He fell into the van.
You were responsible for your guests. If your guests become rowdy, and as a result of their being rowdy, cause damage to the neighbor's property, they don't have to go around and hustle and find out the names and addresses of your guests.
I gave it to her.
You're responsible, and if you feel as if your friends are responsible, you go get the money from them.
I was trying.
Oh, I was trying. What do you do for a living?
I'm a carpenter.
Mm-hmm. The lowest estimate that you have, Ms. Link, is $519.66.
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff. If you have friends, you make sure your friends are well taken care of, sir. And if they cause damage, you are responsible. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I don't feel like I should have paid. It wasn't me that damaged the vehicle.
I'm happy with the decision.
Just because someone tripped and fell down, did I force him to get drunk? Did I push him into the van? No.
I'm just glad it's over.
If it wasn't a bunch of nagging going on.
If him and his friends didn't get drunk and damage my van, I wouldn't be a nagger.
No one could talk to me. They had to leave a note on the door. I live right next door.
We're still going to be neighbors. We'll still talk.
I like him, actually. My kids play with their kids.
I have no hard feelings against him, even though I'm a nagger, as he puts it.
No, no hard feelings at all.
When you get
drink, stay home.
Yeah.
Michael Attar is suing his former clients, Mary and Michael Rhodes, for unpaid demolition work.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2115, Attar versus Rose.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Attar, you were hired to do some, according to you, demolition work and other work at a property owned by Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes. You gave them an estimate for that work. I think the estimate was $11,500. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it was outlined what work you were supposed to do. You started that work, and according to you, at some point there was disagreement with either or both of the Rhodeses, and they stopped payment on a check that they gave you. Correct. And the check that they gave you was for $4,200. And then you stopped work for them.
Yes, ma'am, we're finished.
So you're suing them for the canceled check and for other unpaid work that you did that you didn't get paid for.
Correct.
Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes say that they were not satisfied with the quality of your work. It cost them $9,000 to both replace things that were stolen from their property by either you or members of your team, something which I don't think that you question that somebody from your team, not you, somebody from your team may have taken metal property of theirs that they didn't own. So let's go back. Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes, is this a new property to you, or is this a property that you owned for a while?
It's a new property to us.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So is it a private house?
Yes, and we were remodeling it.
Okay, when did you purchase it?
We purchased in January of 2021.
Is it a single-family residence?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it?
$769,000.
Describe the property to me.
It's in northern Altaloma or Rancho Cucamonga. It's an acre property, has 2 levels on it, and a single-family ranch-style home on it right now. And what we asked him to do was demolition the lower half.
Do you have a photograph?
I do.
I'd like to look at a photograph of what you wanted him to do.
That's what the lower half looked like.
Okay.
Before.
So this whole portion you wanted him.
Correct.
To demolish.
To demolish,
and remove the debris.
And grade flat.
Is that correct, sir?
I can't see from here, ma'am.
Okay. We're going to show it to you. To demolish it, flatten it, fill it in.
Remove all the debris.
Yes.
Okay. And did you have a written contract?
We did not.
Well, that's always a mistake.
Always.
How did you find him?
I believe I got his business card. It was on my personal car, I think at Home Depot. We had bought this house and we tried to find somebody to do the work, but...
Mr. Rhodes, let me tell you that the best way to find somebody is not somebody who leaves a card on your car at Home Depot or any place else.
It was a difficult time to find contractors with COVID and everything at that time.
And at the time, I'm also going to add, because I read in the paper somewhere at the time, he didn't have a license.
He did not.
And you knew he didn't have a license.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I told him, Your Honor. I do not
Just a second. They didn't say no, we didn't know. They said we knew. So you got somebody who had no license to do what you wanted him to do, and you got his number from a card that he left on your windshield. Did you ask for references? That's either a yes or a no.
No, and I'm not really sure actually 100% on where I found that card. I think it was...
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean,
but he did tell us he was in the process of getting his license, that it was coming.
Yeah. I know.
What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. You're two intelligent people. Okay. So you hired an unlicensed contractor to do work on your house and agreed to pay him $11,500. Now, Mr. Rattar, the $11,000 included labor and materials. Is that correct?
There was no material. It was labor and bins.
Well,
bins.
that's material. Labor and bins to remove
Yes, ma'am.
all the equipment that you needed
Yes, ma'am.
to complete the job.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Of before, too. Of what I was supposed to do, and I took a picture.
Well, no, I have that.
You have the wrong picture, Your Honor.
Okay, I'd like to see the picture that he has.
I was supposed to do from the post all the way to the other post, remove everything, and the pool and the deck.
Mr. Rattar, the $11,500 was an all-inclusive figure.
Yes, Your Honor.
One of the things that became an issue is a bobcat.
Correct.
From what I'm piecing together, you hired somebody in a bobcat to do a bobcat. That's a big piece of equipment that knocks down something.
I rented a bobcat.
And somebody who operated it.
My worker.
You didn't know how to operate the bobcat.
I know how to operate bobcat, but I was controlling the demolition site, ma'am. I was like many things were going at the same time. I had to control everything.
Mr. Rattar, something happened with the bobcat, the original one that you got. What happened with it?
It broke down on us.
No, it didn't break down on them. It broke down on you.
On us.
It broke down on you.
Yes.
So what did you do?
I took it back, and next day supposed to deliver me another one, but they sent me a drunk driver and another broken down bobcat. I returned it. At that moment, I asked Mrs. Rhodes, can you please go down Home Depot, which is like a mile away, so we can stop wasting time, rent a bobcat.
Just a second. Why should she rent a bobcat, sir? Your $11,500 included the bobcat.
But I paid for it.
No. If you're going to pay for it, that's one thing. Then what are you sending her for? If your $11,500 figure included all materials, then she doesn't have to rent a bobcat. If you rented one that didn't work, rent one that works. How much of a down payment did they give you?
Presume was $4,000.
When did you start the job?
I started the job on 15th of January.
When did you leave the job?
I was asked to leave on the 2nd of February.
On February 2nd?
Yes, ma'am. Not to go back, I will call the cops on you.
Between January 15th and February 2nd, other than the $4,000, did they give you any other money?
Yes, Your Honor, they did.
How much money did they give you?
They gave me up to $7,000.
So they gave you an additional $3,000?
Yes, and $1,000 check.
Your Honor, that was within the first week we gave him.
It doesn't matter to me. My question was between January 15th and February 2nd, they gave you $7,000.
Correct.
Explain the other $4,200, which is the check that they stopped payment on.
Okay. I'll happily explain to you. The bobcat she rented for me on her behalf, it cost $329 to rent per day. And I rented for one day only, but they charged me $800.
No, that's not correct.
Just a second. I didn't ask you anything.
Okay.
Do you have a photograph of what the property looked like when you left?
Yes, ma'am. The last picture I took before I was kicked out of the property.
You're talking, I'm not listening to you.
Michael Attar claims his former clients, Mary and Michael Rhodes, owe for unpaid demolition work. Mary and Michael are countersuing for lost wages, equipment rental, and missing property.
Now, they paid you $7,000.
Correct.
They wrote you another check.
The final check was supposed to be $5,000, but they only gave me $4,200 because they mined $800 for the Bobcat rental.
Just a second. First of all, the total bill wasn't 7 and 5. 7 and 5, even my rudimentary math, is $12,000. That would be $500 more than your agreed contract, which was for 11.5.
They gave me $6,500 because they gave me small checks. They gave me the first initial
Just a
check,
second.
They gave me smaller ones.
Sir, you're the businessman, whether you have a license or not. I asked you before how much money did they give you between January 15th and February 2nd, and you said $7,000.
I didn't write it down, Your Honor.
Well, you're here asking for money, and you have to write it down. You have to have
work
some.
I've done performed already. And
No, sir.
And I just did the job, Your Honor. I did 7, 8 other side jobs.
I don't care whether you did 7 or 8 side jobs. Your original agreement with them was for $11,500, including all material. Now, what you said to me was that they gave you $7,000, and you said they're supposed to give me another $5,000. Well, another $5,000 is more than your quote.
Ma'am, the balance was $5,000.
How?
The initial check, then they gave me $1,000.
How much money did you give them altogether that he cashed?
$7,000.
Then they owed you $4,500, pursuant to your agreement.
We agreed to $11,000, not $11,500.
$11,500, Your Honor.
Anybody have any proof of what the agreed amount was?
We had a verbal contract with me, Mr. Rhodes.
Fine. I will indicate that it's $11,500. If they gave you $7,000, they don't owe you $5,000. They owed you the difference between $11,500 and the $7,000 that they gave you. Now, one of the things that you disputed, Mr. Attar, was this Bobcat. Who paid for the Bobcat? Show me.
They minus it from the final price.
Just a second. Was that an argument?
The argument about it is, Your Honor, is they rented for 1 day, but they charged me 2 days, $800. There's no Bobcat rental for $800 for 2 days. I got.
Do you have the bill for the Bobcat?
I do, yes. And it was for 2 days.
Go over a certain time.
Because it was returned late. So they charged a second day. But in his text messages, he did request it for 2 days.
Is that the total price?
Yes, and I did not subtract it from his payment.
Total contract was $652.74?
Yes.
Do you have a photograph of what the property looked like when you left?
Yes, ma'am. The last picture I took before I was kicked out of the property.
You're talking, I'm not listening to you. Just show me a picture.
Yes, ma'am. This is not a picture.
Mr. Attar, you're the businessman.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your company.
Yes, ma'am.
Company requires, A, a license before you operate, which you didn't have.
If you do.
B, it requires a written contract. You're the businessman. They're people who bought a house who got your number off a windshield someplace. You're the businessman, and you want the parameters. You want them fixed. So I don't know if it's 11,000 or 11,500. Do you understand?
Very much, Your Honor.
Right. Well, that's your mistake. You look as if you've probably been in business for a long time.
14 years.
And is what you're telling me you don't have written contracts?
All my contracts are verbal.
Then how many times have you been in court, sir?
Never.
Never.
I never had a stop payment check. Never paid me on time, Your Honor.
It's a problem. Sir, when you finished, the debris wasn't all removed.
That wood, they kept telling me, don't touch it. Their neighbor, cousin, whoever's going to come pick it up. That was just cut cord wood.
No. There's brick. There's wood, there's cement.
We cleaned all that. I personally cleaned all that.
Just a second. What I asked you, Mr. Attar, was show me a picture of the property when you left. This is the picture that you showed me.
That was the last, before I had more work, I came in and did more. I wasn't taking pictures. I wasn't expecting somebody to stop payment on a check, Your Honor. I was not expecting that.
Pictures of what it looked like when he left.
What about after?
Well, what are you showing me here? This brick that's here?
They piled it there and then left it there.
Well, that's probably a good one.
No, it was supposed to be removed.
So this is the back.
That's the picture of the sagging patio because he removed part of the supports that were holding up the patio that he wasn't supposed to. So it's now sagging.
Now, this is the picture that you gave me when you told me this is what you wanted, leveled, cleared, and made flat.
Right.
Now, I want to see your picture of what this looked like when he left.
You have it. It's in some of those photos.
Flat's leveled.
You're talking about this?
Yeah.
That's part of it. The close-ups, that's part of it.
Well, it looks like most of the stuff is done. It looked like a lot of cleanup left.
No, ma'am, we've done all the cleanup.
Well, I haven't seen that, so then what you're supposed to do is take a photograph.
It was also buried underneath. These are the photos of when we did it ourselves and really leveled it out. And as we were doing that, we found so much buried underneath that should have been removed, but his Bobcat person buried it all.
Your Honor.
Mean buried
all the debris, all the concrete brick.
Okay, let me see the bill from the...
No, we did it ourselves. We rented equipment and did it ourselves on his vacation.
Oh, nice. Okay, $4,500 is so far what's owed on this contract. Now, your counterclaim is money owed for lost work, equipment rentals, labor and missing damages to property. What money owed for lost work?
During the second week that he was working, he called and said that his crew had left. This was the second day of use of, supposed to be use of the Bobcat that I rented.
Okay, if you interrupt me again, I'm just dismissing your case. Do you understand?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good.
So
just explain lost work. Who's lost work?
His.
Oh, forget it.
Well, he called and said his crew left.
Forget it.
He can't finish the job.
You weren't living there.
Not yet, no.
You weren't living there. Okay. He wants to go, go. I'm not interested in his lost wages for taking care of his house. So far, you owe the man the balance on his contract, unless you had somebody else do it, which is absolutely fine. And I would look at that removal of debris, what it costs you, and you're absolutely entitled to that. Deducted from what you owe him, which is $4,500.
But he didn't finish the job.
Just a second. You tell me, how am I supposed to gauge how much of the job he didn't finish? Did he not complete $2,500 worth? $3,500 worth? $1,500 worth?
I think the $7,000 we paid him was overpaid. He didn't have to end up removing an entire pool. He only had to remove...
That's your problem. Just a second. I read that. You said it's not a big pool. It wasn't 8 feet. It was only 24 inches. He gave you a price to level everything. Nothing delineated, nothing in a written contract. The pool turns out to be 2 feet instead of 6 feet or 2 feet instead of 8 feet. Well, if he was the contractor and he came out and he looked at the pool, he said, oh, this is an 8-foot pool, and it turned out it's a 12-foot pool, he'd be stuck with 11.5, just like you're stuck with 11.5 because it was shallower. Now, you owe him $4,500 unless you want to produce for me bills that you have for rental equipment, et cetera, and I will absolutely deduct that from the $4,500. Just give me the bills and the amount of equipment. Don't say nothing, Mr. Rittard. Mr. Rhodes, did you rent a Bobcat?
The one that I cleaned up the yard with?
Yes.
I rented a piece of equipment.
Jump up!
Yes.
And you know how they pick up metal?
No, I don't know that, sir. I'm a television personality. I don't know about people driving down the street to pick up metal. I've never had somebody drive down the street and say, I'm looking for metal. They don't even come down my street and ask if I want sharp knives.
Michael Attar has accused his former clients, Mary and Michael Rhodes, of refusing to pay for demolition work. Mary and Michael claim he never finished the job and stole their property.
Now, what did you rent?
A skip loader.
That's different from a Bobcat.
Yes, that's correct.
Smaller?
I would say bigger.
Bigger. And do you remember how much it cost you? Did you rent it from Home Depot?
No. It's from a local rental yard. I think it was
all the equipment we rented
in Ontario.
$1,300.
Yeah.
Find it.
Yeah.
Find the bill.
They didn't print it, so now I gotta.
How many days did you have it, Mr. Rhodes?
4.
I'm dismissing your counterclaim, Mrs. Rhodes. Do you want to know why? Because I asked him a specific question, and you answered. Do you understand? Do you understand? That part of your counterclaim, because you don't have it, you can't find it. So far you owe him $4,500. Not $8,600, but $4,500. Now, do you have any proof that Mr. Attar or someone from his team stole copper piping or whatever piping that you claim was missing? Do you have any proof that either Mr. Attar or anyone under his authority took property from you?
Yes. We have text messages back and forth.
Okay, I'll read them. Okay, so what you're referring to with regard to the stolen property is you send a picture and there's a little piece of pipe there, one piece of pipe, and you say, Mike, did you or you guys happen to grind off 2 metal poles and concrete blocks? The kids use those for volleyball nets. And he says, oh my God, no, sir, but I'm guessing the person whom I gave my metal to, no problem, Michael, please give, and I don't see the rest of this message.
Yes, so that was the beginning of things we noticed that were missing.
Oh, I don't care.
And then,
this is what you're talking about?
Yes, he's saying he let a metal person onto our yard, and they went and took everything that was metal.
Okay. Okay. Now, Mr. Attar.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to tell me about the missing metal on this property.
She was standing right there, and there was a metal guy that drives down the street. And you know how they pick up metal?
No, I don't know that, sir. I'm a television personality. I don't know about people driving down the street to pick up metal. I've never had somebody drive down the street and say, I'm looking for metal. They don't even come down my street and ask if I want sharp knives.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Very much, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
Very much, Your Honor.
Okay. Who is this person?
This person was picking up metal, and I asked for permission. I said, ma'am,
just a
could he
second.
come down the property?
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Was this person picking up metal for nothing?
Yes,
Just a second. Yeah. You're a business guy. Mr. Attar, somebody drives down the street and says, you know, I see you doing construction. Is there any metal around here that you want me to dispose of?
Yes, ma'am, they do a lot.
Yes. And then they look around. This is what you tell them. They look around and they take the metal for nothing.
Yes, ma'am. This would be cheaper for me instead of load it on my trailer and take it to the recycling metal yard.
So what metal did they take, sir? I assume
everything that I gave them.
What did you give them?
Nobody went up there and cut no poles, ma'am.
Well, they sent you a picture of a pole, sir, and in response to the picture of the pole, you said, oh, my God, I'm guessing the person whom I gave my metal to.
I'm guessing.
No problem. And then you say later, tell me what it is, and I will either look high and low to get it back or replace it. That's what you say.
Yes, I offered to replace it.
That's what you say.
I offered to replace it.
Now, next question. I need an itemized list and what the value was of the metal taken.
No, there's a list of everything. They're listed in there.
What is this?
Those are all the damages, but the metal is listed in there separately of the items that are missing.
No, it isn't. This is a whole bunch of other things that you prepared for this case.
It's in there underneath. There's the horse feeder. Part of the corral was cut off.
This is something that you wrote yourself.
Yes, you said an itemized list.
If they took 6 feet of pipe, get me a bill from Home Depot for the replacement of that pipe.
Oh, I have
all the bills for the replacement of metal, not what you prepared for this litigation.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Itemized list.
Did you take down a horse corral?
No, Your Honor, I did not take no horse corral. I have nothing
Horse corral, is that metal or is it?
It's made out of galvanized metal, yeah. They cut pieces off of that were sticking up to take to recycle, I guess.
Just a second. Was there a 4-sided horse corral?
Yes.
That looked like this?
Yes.
That they took down?
They cut pieces that were sticking up above the horse corral, attached to the horse corral.
You're being petty. You're being petty. $306, Ram's price, galvanized wall-mounted horse feeder. Did you take a horse feeder?
No, Your Honor, I got no.
Yo, Mr. Attar, $4,500. Judgment for the plaintiff. Counterclaims dismissed. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Well, his equipment broke, and he wanted us to rent the equipment for him.
Equipment died because things break down.
And then the next day, he calls and says he can't finish it.
At that moment, I didn't have a credit card to my name. And that's the honest truth.
So we pretty much figured that was job abandonment at that point.
I'm going to have a written contract in the future. Don't hire
Always
him.
hire a professional.
I could not believe that your first question to him when he said that he'd been working as a contractor for 14 years was, And you've been working all 14 of those years unlicensed?
Oh, yeah.
I was waiting for the question. I was waiting at the edge of my
Different
seat, and it
minds.
never came.
Different minds. Yeah. Should have slipped me a note.
I should have.
You should have slipped me a note. No, that actually didn't cross my mind, but that's a good question.
Yeah. Oral contracts and no license.
No license, but there's no question. He did the work.
Yeah. No, I agree.
He did the work, and they were really dickering over who was going to absorb the cost of this second Bobcat that they had to get, which was really ridiculous. If they had had another contractor who came and completed the job,
you would have awarded that.
I would have deducted it from the $4,500 that they owed him. But absent that, the fact that he rented some sort of piece of equipment and came and cleaned up the property was not important to me, and the rest of their case was nonsense. Next time, they won't employ somebody for $11,000 from a card from your windshield.
At Home Depot.
From
Anywhere.
wherever, and not say, okay, listen, maybe I'll give him a shot. Give me 3 of your last references to call.
It's a good lesson to people out there,
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Vanessa Howard is suing her former friend, Ontrell Brooks, for a car loan.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge.
Hello.
Case 2108, Howard versus Brooks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Howard, your case is simple. You claim a loan to the defendant for the down payment on a car.
Yes.
When did you make this loan?
March 24th of this year.
How much was it?
I gave him $1,500 and he paid $300.
Where did you take the money from?
I had it at my home.
In cash?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a hairstylist. I'm an owner-operator.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the sole source of your income?
Yes. I own a salon business. I'm opening my second one.
Tell me how you know the defendant.
He was a client of a former stylist many years ago, so I met him through the salon.
Did you have any sort of relationship with him?
At the time that I met, no.
No. At the time that you gave him this loan,
we were friends.
What did he say he needed the loan for?
To get a vehicle.
To get a car?
He was at Mercedes trying to purchase another car, and I knew he had a baby on the way, so I felt it was...
I want to know what he said to you.
He said that he needed help with the down payment. He was short some for a down payment on a car that he wanted.
Did you have that conversation on the phone or in person?
Yeah, he called me and asked me for originally $2,500 to help him with the down payment. And I told him, well, I don't know if I have that much. I'll see what I can get him. I had the $1,500. He came to pick it up at my home.
And that was on the 24th of March?
Yes.
When did you purchase your car?
I believe it was the 24th as well.
You have any paperwork for the car? What paperwork do you have there? I just want to see what you brought with you today.
Basically, the lien holder paper.
And what is that supposed to tell me?
I believe it has the date on there when I purchased it.
Okay. And how much did you put down on the car?
$9,000.
Did you trade in a car?
No.
Why did you need $2,500 from her?
I actually didn't ask for it. I just mentioned to her that I
No, well,
needed
just a
it.
second. I asked you a question.
Okay.
Why did you need extra money towards the down payment? Did it affect the payments? Did it affect the insurance? Did it affect the
yes.
premium?
Basically, the car, it was like $74,000. So if I was to put down a lower payment, like you were saying, the payment would be higher for the monthly. So if I put down a little more, it dropped it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she gave you $1,500, not $25.
Yes.
But she gave you $1,500.
Yes.
And she gave that to you around the same time that you purchased the car. Were you current in your insurance payments on the car?
Yes.
And then you crashed the car.
Yes.
And the insurance company paid the lien holder on the car.
Yes.
Made the payout.
Yes.
So you didn't get any money from the insurance.
No.
So now you have no car, right? I don't know if you have a car
I
now.
have a car, yes.
Well, you got another car.
Yes.
What kind of car did you buy?
Tesla.
A Tesla. And how much did you pay for the Tesla?
I put down like $8,000.
Where'd you get the $8,000 from?
I work. I have a place where I hold traveling nurses.
Did you take the money out of a bank, or did you have it in cash?
I had it in cash.
The $8,000.
Yeah.
How much money do you make from this business that you have?
It varies depending on how many nurses I have staying there.
So you own the property, or do you manage the property?
I manage the property. So it's basically housing nurses or people that travel for business.
And how long have you had that business?
I've been doing that for maybe a couple years now.
That's how you support yourself.
That, and I do training as well, fitness training.
Okay, so now you paid back $300 of the 15, right?
I gave her $300.
Right, and when did you give her the $300?
I'm not quite sure the date, but
Give me a month.
I'm not quite sure.
When did he give you the $300?
May 17th.
Okay.
Tell me why you gave it back, the $300.
I gave it back to her because she basically...
Not basically, this is basic.
Well, because she kept asking for it. So just to get her off me for a second, so I gave her $300. Just I didn't feel like I owed it to her because I thought that, you know, it was given to me because we were like really cool.
Just a second. Okay. All right. Well, Miss Howard.
You
Miss
can't
Howard.
be serious.
Miss Howard.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been operating your 2 salons?
I'm opening a new one now, and the first one was opened in 2012.
Do you live with anyone?
My children.
How many kids do you have?
I have 3.
How old are they?
I have a 17, 18, and 21-year-old.
Big kids?
Yeah, college and high school, yes.
Who supports them?
I do.
From
Their
your
father
work?
helps too, yes.
From your work. Do you live with their father?
No.
No. But he also helps?
Yes, he does.
And you sound like a really intelligent, put-together woman who's had her own business, who's got 3 kids, college kids.
Yes.
Moving forward.
Yes.
Why? Why do you think, you know, I know that you work, because if you're a hairdresser and that's your source of income, you work really hard. It takes a long time to accumulate $1,500. You know, I'm sure you get some tips and stuff. That's the cash that you keep.
Yeah.
So you work hard and you've got 3 kids who need money. He wants to buy an uber expensive car and he wants his payments to be lower. So he says to you, not that he needs it. See, he doesn't need it to get a car. He wants it to make his payments lower.
That's not how he presented it to me.
How did he present it to you?
He said he needs help, he needs the money for the down payment, and I knew, he told me that, you know, the situation, his car got taken away or whatever. And
his car got what?
His previous vehicle was taken from him.
From how?
I don't know.
What kind of a car did you have? Before you bought the BMW?
That's what it was. It was a BMW.
Oh, and then you bought a Mercedes?
Yeah.
Okay, so you bought, sorry, I got that confused. You bought the Mercedes using some of her money. Before that, you had a BMW.
Yes.
Okay, and now you have a Tesla. Do you understand how foolish that sounds?
Yes.
You don't want to sound foolish.
Well, like I said, he's had a baby on the way any day now, and my compassion for the situation, I was like, okay, I'll give you that. And I know he's had a source of income. It's not like I've ever known him not to have an income. So I felt like, okay, he'll do right by me. Of course, he didn't. We see.
Do you know how many people stand in exactly that spot and say, you know, I trusted him. He gave me this story, gave me that story.
Yes.
And what I'm telling you is most of the people standing there, for some reason that has always baffled me, are women. Any guy who takes money from you to lower his car payment and buys a car for $75,000, the only people that do that sort of thing are untrustworthy. Then you change the contract and you said, not acceptable. You're behind $500 and a late payment will only be acceptable with a current payment. Is there anything about that in your contract?
There's not.
Okay, so if it's not in your contract, it doesn't exist.
Vanessa Howard claims her former friend, Ontrell Brooks, owes for a car loan.
Most of the people standing there, for some reason that has always baffled me, are women.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I have guys standing there and say, you know, she asked me for this, and so I knew she had a baby on the way, and I felt sorry for it, so I gave them money.
Right.
Most of the time, they say goodbye, which is what you should have said. And
absolutely.
You appear to be much too fine a lady and
thank you.
A hardworking lady. Don't give anybody.
No more.
Any guy who takes money from you to lower his car payment and buys a car for $75,000 and asks you for $1,000 or $2,000, knowing that you're a working gal and that he didn't need it to buy a car. He could have bought a car for $50,000. Could have bought a car for $30,000.
Right.
Likes to drive fancy cars with somebody else's money, okay?
Yes.
So the only people that do that sort of thing are untrustworthy, usually, as my great-grandmother would call them, bums. So I would suggest that you be smart in the future. You're a hardworking lady. Hold on to your money. If you want to invest in anything, invest in your children's future. We're done here. Judge complaint.
This court is adjourned.
Mr. Brooks took my money with no intentions of paying back.
I thought it was, she gave it to me.
Oh, car crashed, my tires got slashed.
I thought it was a gift because she really liked me.
Don't let men borrow money.
Lovely woman, hardworking woman. She's going to have a chain, as Dolly Parton would say, have a chain. Going to have a second salon. On the other side, you have somebody with zero judgment.
He's well versed in other people's money.
Why? A perfectly sensible, bright woman would take money that she worked really hard for and give it to somebody that she hardly knows.
Women have to be smarter.
The women have to be smarter, worry about themselves.
Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta sẽ có một bức tranh tô màu về một bạn ngựa. Ở đây có ông mặt trời và một bạn bướm nữa. Các bạn hãy theo dõi đến cuối video để xem mình hoàn thiện cho bức tranh tô màu này như thế nào nha. Đầu tiên thì chúng mình sẽ tô màu cho cái phần ông mặt trời. Mặt trời màu đỏ. Rồi thì đến bạn bướm bướm. Bạn bướm bướm có vẻ đang trò chuyện với bạn ngựa hay. Tiếp theo mình sẽ tô phần miệng của bạn ngựa. Có vẻ bạn ngựa đang đứng trên một cái bãi cỏ, nên là mình sẽ sử dụng màu xanh để tô cho cái phần cỏ. Chút thôi. Mà yêu thích của ngựa là cỏ mà. Rồi chúng mình cùng nhau tô cái phần móng nhé. Nó gọi là, không biết nó gọi là móng hay là gọi là cái gì. Nhưng mà đây là bộ phận khá quan trọng của những chú ngựa, tại vì nó sẽ chạy dựa trên cái này ấy. Tiếp theo chúng mình sẽ tô phần lông. Lông này mình sẽ sử dụng màu nâu hơi đậm đậm xíu. Mình sẽ cả tô phần lông đuôi. Bạn ngựa này thì mình sẽ sử dụng màu nâu nhạt để tô toàn bộ phần thân. Đây nha. Mình sẽ tô cả phần chân cho bạn ngựa nha. Bức tranh về bạn ngựa của mình đã được hoàn thành xong, đã đi đến bước cuối cùng. Video của mình cũng sẽ kết thúc ở đây. Cảm ơn mọi người đã đón xem video này. Tạm biệt các bạn. Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tiếp tục tô màu cho các bức tranh nhé. Và bức tranh của ngày hôm nay sẽ là về nàng công chúa ngủ trong rừng. Đây là bức tranh của mình ngày hôm nay. Các bạn hãy cùng mình bắt tay vào và tô màu nhé. Trước tiên thì mình sẽ tô phần sườn tóc nha. Rồi thì mình sẽ sử dụng màu vàng để tô cho mái tóc nhé. giờ thì mình sẽ tô đôi môi nha. Mình sẽ sử dụng là màu đỏ để tô. Hết yêu. Bây giờ chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bộ đồ. Bộ đồ này thì mình sẽ tô phần áo ở đây màu đen nhé. Đức ơi! Đức ơi! Ấy đi, tắm đi. Tắm đi để ăn cơm. Chị Bà Bình rồi. Mình đã tô xong phần áo ở đó. Còn cái phần áo ở ngoài này thì mình sẽ sử dụng là màu gì ta? Sử dụng màu nâu nhạt nhá. Nó hơi bị trùng so với màu tóc một xíu. Và mình đã hoàn thiện xong bức tranh của ngày hôm nay rồi. Cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi video này của mình. Hãy ủng hộ mình ở các video tiếp theo nhé. Tạm biệt các bạn. Xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã quay trở lại với vlog tô màu tranh của mình. Hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh về nàng công chúa Lọ Lem nha. Ngay bây giờ thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau vào bắt tay tô màu nhé. Trước tiên thì mình sẽ tô màu cho đôi môi của Lọ Lem nhé. Giờ thì mình sẽ tô vào tóc màu vàng nha. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô đến bộ đồ chiếc áo đi. Mình sẽ tô màu xanh xanh lá nhá. Chị làm xong cho khoảng 5:30. Cứ làm của mày đi. Bây giờ xong chị gọi. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô phần khăn trùm đầu. Mình sẽ sử dụng là màu nâu. Mình sẽ sử dụng là màu tím. Bộ váy thì mình sẽ tô màu nâu nha. Còn chiếc tạp dề này thì mình sẽ để màu trắng. Hả? Nhưng mà tắt quạt chưa? Và mình đã tô xong bức tranh về nàng lọ lem rồi nhé. Video của mình đến đây là kết thúc rồi. Cảm ơn mọi người đã theo dõi video của mình. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người nha. Xin chào mọi người. Chào mừng các mọi người đã quay trở lại với vlog tô màu tranh của mình ngày hôm nay. Hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh về một cô gái đang đứng cạnh biển. Chúng ta sẽ cùng bắt tay vào tô màu nha. Trước tiên thì mình sẽ tô phần ông mặt trời nha. Mình sẽ sử dụng màu đỏ để tô. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô phần đôi môi. Tiếp theo là phần lông mày nhé. Bây giờ thì chúng ta sẽ tô đến mái tóc. Mái tóc thì mình sẽ tô màu đen nhé. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô phần biển phía sau nhé. Mình sẽ sử dụng màu xanh dương để tô cho phần vòng cổ. Có một viên đá trước khá là to này. Những cái viên này thì mình sẽ sử dụng màu tím để tô. Chiếc áo thì mình sẽ sử dụng màu cam để tô nhé. Và mình đã hoàn thành xong bức tranh tô màu của hôm nay. Cảm ơn mọi người đã theo dõi video này của mình. Tạm biệt các bạn nha. Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với những vlog tô màu tranh của mình. Hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh về nàng công chúa Belle. Các bạn hãy cùng mình bắt tay vào và tô màu thật đẹp cho bức tranh này nhé. Trước tiên thì chúng mình sẽ tô màu cho phần lưỡi cột tóc. Còn bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô đến mái tóc nhé. Mái tóc thì mình sẽ sử dụng là màu nâu để tô. mình sẽ tô phần bông tai và đôi môi nha. Tiếp theo chúng ta sẽ tô màu cho bộ đồ. Phần đá dính vào đây thì mình sẽ sử dụng màu tím để trần ngược vào. Bộ váy thì mình sẽ sử dụng là màu vàng. Quần nào nhỉ? Bây giờ mình sẽ tô phần vòng cổ. Đây. Giờ thì mình sẽ tô màu cho đôi giày cao gót. Mình sẽ tô hình trái tim trước. Đôi giày thì mình sẽ sử dụng màu xanh tương để tô. Chiếc váy thì mình sẽ tô màu tím. Mình sẽ tô cả phần dưới của váy nhé. Và mình đã tô màu son cho bức tranh của ngày hôm nay rồi nha. Cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi video này của mình. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại ở các video tiếp theo nhé. Tạm biệt. Xin chào mọi người. Chào mừng mọi người đã lại quay trở lại với kênh của mình với những vlog tô màu tranh. Hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ có một bức tranh về bạn heo Peppa. Ngay bây giờ chúng ta sẽ cùng bắt tay vào tô màu. Bây giờ chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bạn heo. Mình sẽ tô phần má hồng trước nhé. Bạn heo thì chắc chắn là có màu hồng nên là mình sẽ dùng màu hồng để tô cho toàn bộ bạn heo nha. Mình sẽ tô hai chiếc tai. Bố lên đây tắm á? Rồi mình sẽ tô phần đầu. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô cả phần chân và tay cho bạn heo. Chúng mình sẽ tô luôn chiếc đuôi nha. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ dùng màu đỏ để tô cho chiếc váy nhé. Và mình đã tô xong chiếc váy. Video của mình đến đây cũng đã hoàn thành. Cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi video của mình. Hãy like, share và subscribe để ủng hộ mình ở các video tiếp theo nhé. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại các bạn nha. Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với vlog của mình. Hôm nay mình cùng với các bạn sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh về nàng công chúa Bạch Tuyết nha. Mọi người hãy cùng mình bắt tay vào và tô màu thôi nào. Hãy xem đến cuối video để xem mình hoàn thiện như. Trước tiên thì mình sẽ tô phần sườn cái tóc của Bạch Tuyết màu đỏ. Và mình sẽ tô luôn chải táo nha. Mình sẽ tô cái cuống cho chải táo. Tiếp theo là phần miệng. Và mình sẽ dùng màu đỏ để tô cho cái phần họa tiết ở trên áo của Bạch Tuyết. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô màu cho đôi giày của Bạch Tuyết nha. Bởi tình anh không biết đã sai gì. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô mái tóc màu đen nhé. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô phần tay áo màu xanh. Phần thân áo thì mình sẽ sử dụng một màu xanh đậm hơn để tô nhé. Bây giờ sẽ là tô nốt chiếc váy. Chiếc váy thì sẽ có màu vàng nên là mình sẽ sử dụng màu vàng để tô. Mình đã tô màu xong cho chiếc váy rồi. Video của mình đến đây cũng đã kết thúc. Cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi video này của mình. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại ở các video tiếp theo của mình nhé. Tạm biệt mọi người. Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ có tô màu cho bức tranh về một cô nàng khá là xinh gái. Các bạn hãy cùng mình tô màu cho bức tranh nhé. Mình sẽ tô màu gương mặt trước là đôi mắt và môi. Ok. Giờ thì mình sẽ tô lại tóc nha. Giờ mình sẽ tô bộ đồ nhé. Đôi giày mình sẽ tô màu đỏ. Mình đã tô màu xanh cho bức tranh rồi nhé. Và bức tranh của ngày hôm nay đã đi đến bước hoàn thiện rồi. Thật là nhanh phải không nào? Hãy cùng mình xem thành quả bức tranh của ngày hôm nay nha. Đây. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi. Video của mình đến đây cũng kết thúc rồi. Tạm biệt mọi người. Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Và đã đến với series tô màu tranh trên kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì các bạn hãy cùng mình tô màu cho bức tranh về một cô gái này nha. Trước tiên thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô phần gương mặt trước nhé. Gì rồi? Đám mây đen gì? Tóc thì mình sẽ tô màu vàng nha. Ghê nha mày. Tạm Anh biết ý là thằng Tú mà. Bây giờ mình sẽ cùng các bạn tô màu vào chiếc váy nhé. Chó là cái gì? Mình sẽ tô màu xanh ngọc nha. Okay. Mình đã tô màu xong rồi nha. Bức tranh về cô gái đã được mình đi đến bước hoàn thành. Chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau xem thành quả nha. Đây là bức tranh mà mình đã hoàn thiện xong. Mọi người hãy cùng mình để lại cảm nhận cũng như là góp ý về bức tranh của ngày hôm nay nhé. Các bạn ơi, hôm nay thì mình có một bức tranh tô màu về một cô nàng. Các bạn hãy cùng mình bắt tay vào và tô màu nhé. Gì vậy? Tự nhiên con này có mền. Tóc mình sẽ tô màu vàng nha. Đây mình sẽ tô để chiếc áo. Đây thì tô một cái quần nhá. Cuối cùng là chúng ta sẽ tô màu cho đôi giày. Không, nó là cái gì khoa học nhưng cái gì trí tuệ nhân tạo vậy. Hôm nay thì chúng ta đã cùng nhau tô màu xong cho bức tranh. Bây giờ chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau nhìn ngắm thành quả nha. Đây, thành quả của mình đây. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình theo dõi. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại ở những video tiếp theo nhé. Hello các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh về cô nàng này nha. Trước tiên là mình sẽ tô phần khuôn mặt. Mái tóc thì mình sẽ tô màu nâu. mình sẽ tô thắt lưng nha. Bây giờ chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô bộ đồ nha. Eo, không mặc áo à. Hôm nay thì mình đã cùng với các bạn tô màu xong cho bức tranh. Đây chính là thành quả mà mình đã hoàn thiện nha mọi người. Video này của mình đến đây cũng đã xin là kết thúc. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình theo dõi. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại nhé. Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mọi người cùng với mình sẽ tô màu cho những cho bức tranh về một bạn cá nhé. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô màu cho cái bong bóng cũng như là cây rong biển. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô lên cái vây cho bạn cá nha. thấy bên cạnh. Chú cá với Mr. Ball. Bức tranh của bạn cá đã xong rồi nha. Bức tranh của ngày hôm nay thì cũng đã được hoàn thiện xong. Đây chính là bức tranh về bạn cá nha. Đây, hãy cùng mình chiêm ngưỡng thành quả. Video của mình đến đây là kết thúc rồi. Hẹn gặp lại mọi người. Hello mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mọi người cùng với mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh về một cô nàng nhá. Cô nàng này thì mặc một cái bộ đồ rất là xinh xắn. Và các bạn thì hãy cùng mình tô màu cho bức tranh ngay bây giờ nhá. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô mái tóc trước ha. See. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô chiếc áo. Cuối cùng là bây giờ mình sẽ tô quần. Giờ mình sẽ tô đôi giày. Cũng là vì tô chiếc quần đó. Hôm nay thì chúng mình đã hoàn thiện xong cho bức tranh rồi. Đây là bức tranh về cô gái mà mình đã tô màu xong. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi. Hãy like, share và chia sẻ để giúp cho mình nhé. Tạm biệt. Hello mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với series tô màu tranh trên kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ tiếp tục cùng mọi người tô màu cho các bức tranh. Và đây sẽ là bức tranh của ngày hôm nay nha. Hãy cùng mình đón xem để xem là mình sẽ hoàn thiện nó như thế nào nhé. Trước tiên thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho đôi bàn tay nhé. Anh nhìn gì em? Gì em? Hả?
Bật cửa lên nhìn.
Đôi bàn tay để mình sẽ tô màu xanh cho mọi người. Đi ngủ đi. Ngủ đi. Có những đứa muốn ăn đánh gì vậy?
Không.
Mái tóc thì mình sẽ tô màu vàng nha. Đọc bài bé được rồi. Nếu mà sau nước biết rửa nồi rồi thì chưa nước rửa chị nhá.
Không.
Tối về tao rửa.
Không.
Mày giỏi. Thế đừng ăn nữa. Nhịn đi. Không muốn nói chuyện với mẹ nữa.
Em làm gì biết rửa đâu.
Thì tao bảo nếu mày biết rửa là sau mày rửa buổi trưa nhá. Đã con biết thế.
Để xem.
Thế thì chỉ có ăn tát. Đấy mà để xem. Cái gì?
Thế mà chị kêu là để chị rửa.
Thế tao đi học ai rửa tao? Ở nhà không rửa thì làm gì? Lười thế. Áo ở trong thì mình sẽ tô màu tím nha. Nhà thì không chả làm gì, chả làm đi.
Thế là gì cháu khác rửa cho. Cháu phải rửa, không mẹ chửi biết rồi.
Tự giác đi chứ mày đợi gần chiều tao mới về với rửa. Ăn cơm xong nghỉ một lúc đi rửa xong rồi đi ngủ.
Vâng, được.
Không làm á, không là đừng mơ mà đi chơi.
Gì?
Mà muốn đi chơi mà không làm thì có mà nhịn. Hết đi xem phim hết ăn muốn bỏ.
Đã muốn bỏ á?
Không thích à?
Ăn Jollibee.
Jollibee thì phải đi sang chỗ kia.
Thì tưởng đi xem phim. Tưởng đi Lotte.
Lotte thì có Jollibee.
Đừng nói rồi. Giờ chắc đi ở đi ngoài mà.
Jollibee phải đi CGV.
Vậy quen mắt.
Giờ mình sẽ tô màu chiếc áo khoác nha.
Đau lúa. Chị nói cho anh em Jollibee này.
Trời ơi, lúc nào mày ăn rồi mày sao mày bảo là không ăn nữa lại còn điều vậy.
Dáng đoạn này hơi đơ.
Không phải là chơi đi em manjo.
Mango à?
Manjo.
Mango
là cái giống y hệt Loki ấy, nhưng tôi thấy được đánh giá tốt hơn Loki.
À, mẹ bảo ní. Ở đâu nhỉ?
Chịu. Học đi, hỏi ít thôi. Và như vậy là mình đã tô màu xong cho bức tranh của ngày hôm nay rồi nha. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi video này. Nếu yêu thích series tô màu tranh của mình thì hãy like, share và ủng hộ giúp cho mình nha. Tạm biệt các bạn. Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với series tô màu tranh trên kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ lại tiếp tục tô màu. Và bức tranh của ngày hôm nay sẽ là về một cô nàng nha. Ngay bây giờ thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tiếp tục tô màu và cùng nhau đón xem. Mái tóc thì mình sẽ tô màu nâu nha mọi người. Nước am phai. Nước am phai được. Tóc mình đã tô xong rồi. Đây mình sẽ tô màu cho đôi mắt nha. Ngu rồi. Đợi chiếu. Đau quá. Sao bao nhiêu nước đá đấy. Từ nhà có sao đấy. Dạo vô duyên. Giờ mình sẽ tô màu ở chiếc áo nha. Quánh đau nha na. Nó hơi bị to ấy. Giờ mình sẽ tô màu ở chiếc váy và mình sẽ tô màu xanh lá nha. Và như vậy là mình cũng đã hoàn thiện xong bức tranh tô màu của ngày hôm nay rồi. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi video này. Nếu yêu thích series này của mình thì hãy like, share và ủng hộ tiếp cho mình nha. Tạm biệt.